going on, everybody? Good job. How you doing? Look at that. Good evening, Robin Becker, GB. What's going on? Hey, Skeeter. Check your email. Okay, I will check my email. What's happening? Y'all all right? Y'all doing all right? It's been some days. Hey, how y'all doing? Y'all good? Good job. Hey, Spag, what's going on? Enrique, what's going on? Y'all listen here. I hope you guys have had the chance to check out my last video I posted up. The FBI responded back with my FOIA request, indicating that they are still investigating what's going on with Thornton, especially the youth grant. Because Siggy, you got some explaining to do. And I truly believe you all. And if you haven't noticed, I've done videos and content on other peculiar characters out there that worked out there. Keith McChicken and Robert Hunt. But I truly believe that that's going to render some very surprising results where others will be definitely named, more than likely have already been questioned, having to kind of give an account and an explanation on things, because there were more than just two people involved in that, the issue regarding the youth grant, as far as where the money go. All right, let's just be frank about it. Where the money go? So more than just Siggy, of course, and little girl who's no longer supervisor or mayor of anything. Girl, what's going on with that dumb book you thought you wrote? Y'all, all right, man. We're gonna have a good show tonight. I got a lot of content to catch up on, y'all. Let's get to some comments. I'm trying to still set up some videos here. Shout out to my mods. Thank you all for being in here. If you guys see the title, The Unexpected Rulings of Court and the Pope's Childhood Home. So we're going to be talking about a few things. What I'm going to do is, and I have a little backdrop I want to give you all regarding the title change. First and foremost, I want to clarify any confusion. What's going on, y'all? What's going on? What's going on? Hey, Shonda. What's up, Raph? What's popping? Hey, Carol. Morning. How y'all doing? Saint, what's happening? Everybody. Thank you all. Shout out to my mods. And I want to clarify any confusion on the random news. He was not actually set to come on the show here. Now, I would love to have him. I would love to have him and talk to him and speak on some broader issues about some of the videos he's featured on his channel, especially the Big Mad series and the people that he has featured, and just kind of overall pattern of behavior and things to look out for. I would definitely welcome random news up on the LLC to talk about, just the content, the ideas, how he comes up with, the topics and the individuals he select. Lots of questions. Lots of questions I have. But the video was just going to be on watching random news video. I'm going to do that in my members only live. That's where I started it, and that's where I'm going to finish that up. And two reasons. One, I have to keep in mind and remember, and it's just wisdom, my godmother. You guys know I rant and rave on my godmother. I'm very proud of her. She's not a federal judge for nothing. All right. It takes a level of wisdom as well as poise to be a federal judge for over 20 plus years. You got to have some wisdom and poise and tact in how you maneuver. And I was reminded that when I started reporting on Dalton and Thornton, specifically on little Soup. Yeah, it is what it is. But I came into the reporting and research that I was doing on her with well over 20,000 supporters. The bulk of them having come from me starting out with doing music reactions. So I can't do music reactions like I want because YouTube is weird and stupid. Because they are. It's annoying. But I want to be able to have my content still have some sort of impact on those who may still be here supporting the LLC, beyond the music reactions. And I have to go about it in a way where I got to remember 20,000 people may not know who some of the specific individuals are that have stemmed from my research and reporting on Dalton and Thornton. And that's how I have to go about tackling it. So I want to be able to broaden up the scope of my content and what I research and report on and what we talk about so that anyone watching, there's over 1 billion users on this platform, right? So you got to think about that from a global aspect of someone's watching my video and let's say they have no idea who these individual people are in Dalton or in Thornton. They should still be able to understand the overlying point of the content. They should still be able to understand what I'm trying to relay in the message. I shouldn't even have to drop a name. It should be just that broad, and the point should still be just that prevalent, if that makes sense. So I want to be able to kind of expand that, but in the members only does not mean we will not rock out with random news video and finish watching it and having a good laugh because we're gonna do that. But we'll do that in the members only. I'm gonna try to do it tonight. If not tonight, definitely tomorrow. I still have a regular job, y'all, but I do want to get to a point where I'm still learning. Even after 4 years of this, I still have to consistently learn and grow. And I want to take this platform seriously. I have 2 channels, so that's another reason why I wanted to kind of, when it comes to like the general live shows that we do here, and even my videos that I hate editing, but it is what it is, that I post up. I want the message and what I'm relaying in that content to still reach a broader audience, while in the same token, like in the members only, yeah, we can rock out and have some fun. And so you just have to become a member to catch that reaction to random news video. Last time we got about an hour in, so it's almost 3 hours long. So we'll finish it out in the next members only. But tonight I wanted to talk about a couple things. We got P. Diddy ruling. We got this thing going on with Drake and UMG that's affecting YouTube heavily. And not just YouTube, just platforms in general. And then we have the Village of Dalton's mayor and the trustees wanting to buy the Pope's house. So a lot of mixed feelings on that. That's made global news. I don't know if people really understanding there's a whole world beyond Dalton. And let me tell you something. The Pope is one of the most infamous figureheads on earth. Okay. Lots of influence behind the Pope. So how often does it happen where you end up being the owner of the home that a Pope grew up in? What are the odds of that? So I'm going to touch on that. But first I wanted to get to y'all know I was reporting on P. Diddy through the eyes of Night and Day Cartoon Network. Because courts don't go the way we think it should, right? It's not that cut and dry. You know what I'm saying? It's not always that apples to apples thing. How we feel on how a ruling should go and how cases should be litigated and adjudicated in court, it doesn't always transpire that way. So I personally was disappointed in not at least hearing that he was found guilty on any of the trafficking charges. It was 2. Personally disappointed about that. However, I think it was 5. It was 2 that he was found guilty on, and it was more so of the prostitution thing. So we're going to check that out. I want to give a shout out to all of you all coming in. Y'all all right? 34 people watching. Let's hit that like button. Let's get the content up in the viewership, in the algorithm. and all these weird things YouTube does to make us have to earn 10 cents on the dime. Yeah, 10 cents on the dollar, rather. Ugh. They're the worst. I said, don't forget to hit the thumbs up, everybody. Yes, y'all, please don't forget to hit the thumbs up. Raph said, what's up? I hope everybody's doing well. You guys, we got 4th of July to look forward to. Thank God, because I'm tired. Like I want to sleep in and just, be able to work on my content. I got my second channel, y'all. Tommy G is going to be dropping a video dealing with one of the most infamous televangelists, and it's going to be epic. And as we go through the show tonight, it's going to be even more important as to why. Like I said, I want to speak to kind of the broader aspects of some of the things, even with random news video and the people that he's spoken on, because the pattern of behavior, the mentality, and the thought process is almost similar to what you see in televangelists. And it's just how ironic Tommy G is dropping a video on one of the most infamous televangelists that, that no one likes. Let's just be honest about it. So on my second channel, Tommy G Raw and Real, is pretty much, dedicated. Shout out to Tommy G, and the Tommy G Clippers community is just dedicated to clippers of his clips of his videos. And it is definitely a mutually beneficial partnership that some of us have been blessed to have with Tommy G. He's a huge content creator, as well as Brandon Buckingham, and his approval in giving the Lady Luck Club the opportunity to clip his content as well. Yeah, listen, so many great opportunities come. I'm still waiting on the product to come in from the second partnership that we have with let's see, what was the Food Life? Y'all, oh Lord, hold on, I'm gonna pull it up. Sponsorships. Thrive Life. That's going to be epic. And then don't forget about Dr. Squatch, because go buy their soap. All right. Make sure you're buying Dr. Squatch stuff through my links in my videos. Thank you, Laura. Shout out to you for sending me the meeting link. I'm not going to go over all of it when we get to the portion of the Dalton meeting and the Pope's home. I'm just going to check out parts of the meeting itself. So I'm going to kick this off. Oh, boy. Yeah, we're going to go to... Hell, we're going to go to P. Diddy. Because, everyone was just kind of like, oh, what? Yeah. It happens, y'all. Sometimes it's just not always what we think. It happens. It happens. So, I'm going to pull up. Let's see. I'll just pull up the news. Is there any news? Then what was so crazy? Let's see here. All right, here we go. Y'all, TMZ going out being premature in their reporting on stuff. It's like, cut it out. What are you doing? Why? They saying that he was cleared of everything. Now, okay, now it just makes you all look more like clowns. That is not what happened. All right. So we're going to check this out. I'm trying to make sure I have everything lined up, go through the videos that I want to cover tonight. I think the biggest discussion is going to be on, the acquisition of the Pope's house, childhood house. And I do have some other videos I want to show with that as well. Oh boy, Siggy looks like a walking corpse to me. Yes, I'm shallow. My nerves would be fried if I were them. Oh man, can y'all imagine how this jury feels? So what happened in court? So we got a couple court cases. I'm gonna just pull up this video on the P. Diddy verdict, and then hey y'all, hey Dave, how you doing? Buying the Pope's home is the dumbest thing they could do. Slap a historical marker in front on the sidewalk and call it a day. Everybody's entitled to their opinion and thoughts on it. That's what we want to, ensure that you guys have the freedom and space here to be able to express how you feel. I think I've touched on it a couple times previously, and I'm gonna, reiterate, my thoughts on it as we get to that portion of the show. What's going on, Gemini? $500,000 for a $100,000 home is crazy. I hear you on that. I watched that video twice. Good evening. Hey, Pamela, how you doing? Being a federal judge is definitely an accomplishment. It is a blessing. It is a blessing. And even more, it is a blessing that she is my godmother and a prominent figure in my life. I've actually featured her here on the platform for Black History 365. She was first youngest African American female to become a federal magistrate judge for the Northern District Court of Georgia. Judge Linda T. Walker, absolute a blessing to me. And I can't say where I would be if I did not know her in my life. So I bless God for that. Here I am. Hey, Laura. Shout out to all my mods here. You guys, if I'm going through content and you're asking questions or it's some information you want me to know and I don't get the chance to get to it, trust me, my mods will email me and they'll give me a heads up on things. So don't worry. I will try to answer questions as best as I can. No notifications. Oh man, that's sure you don't see the value in the home and work the village is gonna have to do regardless if they own it. We're gonna speak on it. We're gonna speak on it. How's everyone doing? We're gonna speak on that. But yeah, the dialogue is awesome. Tiffany has back-to-back 10 court cases between July 1 through July 2nd. Yes, she did. She has been very, very busy. Shout out to Cooking with Frank. He pointed out her list of court cases on the Circuit Court of Cook County website. Where we go to also, keep track of what she got going on. Yeah. She got a lot of hearings and appearances. That's why it's so weird to have her anywhere in Atlanta. Like, why are you here? You got to keep going up there to go to court. All the judges not gonna let you just do Zoom hearings. So they knows with the facts. I'm here for the long haul. I appreciate it. Appreciate all of you all for supporting me here in the Lady Luck Club. It is absolutely fantastic. See, you don't know how to act. Lady Butt Plug. What is that about? That's so gross. Why y'all talk about butts? Then you got the nerve to wave with a pink hand. Is that poop on the end of that finger? The hell out of here. Y'all see how we had to handle the trolls. Oh, whatever. Moving on. Ew, I know, right? It's so gross. They think about Dookie and crap. Yeah, come up into the YouTube mansions for once. Yeah, let's not be in the gutter. Speaking of Televangelist, Jimmy Swaggart passed away. Did he now? You know what? Yeah, he was older. He's one of those. My grandmother, I was raised by my grandmother. She kept me in church 24/7. She was also an evangelist and an intercessory prayer warrior, but she didn't play around when it came to them televangelists. She would sit there and look weird when they was hearing talk about, all right, we were just giving a sermon. She watched TBN. And then they turn around and ask for a whole bunch of money. Send this money to us in this card and we'll send you back a piece of fabric with a ribbon. And then you got to fold it up 3 times and then send it back to us with a $5 bill. Like, what? Wait, what? Next thing I know, my grandma was praying at the television. I rebuke you right now in the name of Jesus. We didn't play around with that one. You got these televangelists send us $1. We'll send you this little tube of bottled oil that's supposed to be holy and sanctified. And then you send that back to us emptied out with $10 more in the envelope. And it needs to be in a red envelope, because the blood of Jesus was shed. And then we're going to send you back $2 with a rope. And then you're going to send us back $20 in a green envelope and it went on forever and ever. At some point you just start to say, okay, God, when you coming back? Because we can't do this. We can't do this for eternity. At some point, this has to come to an end. You spending more money on buying envelopes, putting in sticky notes and folding the ribbons up, taking the prayer cloth, you got to wash it 3 times and send it back. I'm sitting here like, what are we doing? My grandmama did not play that, y'all. She was like, I'm not doing none of that. If God can't hear my prayer without me sending away a colored envelope with money in it to anybody on television, then I need to rethink the God that I serve. Hallelujah. That is not how we do. Yeah, Jesus never commanded anybody to send him sticky notes across Jerusalem. And then you got to wait till he send you something back, because back then they didn't have emails or anything. just so you can feel some deliverance. That's not how it works. So when we think about televangelists, I'm looking at this from a stance where you have a mere mortal who did not die on a cross for anyone's sins, telling you to do all this stuff in exchange for what you hope to be an answered prayer. Now you're playing with God and you're pissing him off. Yellowstone. We're not doing it. So you get people that kind of come off like they this televangelist type thing, and it's almost like, see, you about to make God mad. You are 2 seconds away from making God mad with what you're doing right now. Ain't nobody happy with that. We ain't doing that. Mm-mm. So I'm just glad to see the scheme of it all being called out. And what better way to get it called out than to have a Tommy G video? Tommy G videos calling out a televangelist. So I'm here for it. Yeah, I did a video clip on Scientology. Who knew that was the level is, I mean, I think I got over 20,000 views on that one short on my second channel within a matter of a few days on Scientology. I gotta say, I'm not like that well versed with it, but I'm learning. And man, the things I'm coming across, whoo child. So we have a lot of great content, and I'm going to be pushing out here on the LLC. We're going to be talking about this cult thing with Eligio Bishop, whatever he think he was. He's now in prison, so he's prison inmate number whatever it is, for the next 7-8 more years to go. But we definitely want to send condolences to the family. No one wishes anyone death. We don't do that. I think he was older, so he hopefully lived a full life either way. And it is definitely just losing someone that you love is always hard. So thank you for sharing that, Enrique. I appreciate that. Who man, do they run Denny's prescription report? Do they run Denny's? Hey Michael, how you doing? Do they run Denny's prescription report? Yours. You have to re-ask me or rephrase it. I think I'm missing something in your question. I think I might be misunderstanding something. I don't want to misunderstand. So just kind of clarify what you mean. Good to see everyone. Who needs a hug? Chris, what's going on? Oh God, come on, man. What's going on, Chris? Wow, your godmother is the bomb. She is. Judge Linda Walker is the bomb. She is absolutely phenomenal. An absolute blessing. Keep it classy in the chat. Yeah, we handle the trolls here. Yeah, they only get to me if I let them. Lady butt plug. What the hell wrong with you? Donna, what's going on? Janice, what's going on? All right, y'all ready to get started on this? Listen, I wanted to make sure I got as many Albany, Georgia. Share said, is Zaya Rebels, Albany, Georgia, 1976, $10 for blessing, saying huge coke here. Oh, yes. They've seen prayer cloths, holy oil or water or dirt or a leaf from a tree, from a branch, from a vine to the roots in the ground, the hole in the ground, and then the green grass grew all around and around. They take Barney to a whole new level. You sit here listening to them, you like, is he quoting a Barney song? Yeah, okay. Yeah, he quoting a Barney song. Timmy was giving food boxes, but now the skanking line to get one. you know, she's definitely spending a lot of money flying back and forth to go to court. It just doesn't make sense. Don't assume that every judge is going to allow you to have a Zoom hearing, little girl. Why are you in our state? Please leave. take take Fannie Willis with you. Bye, Fannie. No one knows what you're doing anymore. Bye, girl. Bye. Yeah, it's something else when a judge sits here and calls out the entire DA office saying that they need to be retrained because essentially they're incompetent. How often does that happen? Yeah, a judge said that about Fannie Willis and her whole office. All these attorneys need to go back and get basic fundamental training on how to prepare a case. Like, this is insane. Bye, Fannie. Go bye. Bye. Bye, Fannie Willis. Trying to say who was Televangelist in the early 2000s that was sending you a little plastic tube of holy water for $20? It may have been Kenneth Copeland or Benny Hinn or Jimmy Swagger. I mean, name some others. Those are the top three I remember. You got Creflo Dollar, Eddie Long, he passed away. Who else? I mean, the ones that were just heavily on TBN. That was the Trinity Broadcasting Network back then when I was a little girl. Yeah, something else. That was Puff Daddy. Jesus was supposed to return in 1986. Did he come? What's going on, my Dale? Yeah, Jesus is with us. The Spirit of God is always with us, comforting us. Keeping me from having that Yellowstone effect. We just need him now. Yeah, unfortunately, Barry showed up. Huge anti-Scientology viewer here for the last 10 years. Yes, the video, make sure you guys check out. Tommy G did a full good video on it, and I did a couple clips from that video. I'm going to clip more because I had no idea Scientology was as huge as it is. Y'all hold on one second because I'm still a mama. Hold on. Yeah. Summertime, that means the kids home all day. My oldest is working though. Thank God for that. I just need to find something for my youngest to do. All right. Quit yelling. Chris, quit yelling. It's okay. Chrissy, I mean, I don't, unless this is a serious topic. Yeah, I don't even notice the all caps. It's all right. Primo, sorry for being missing. My son is in Israel and I haven't heard from him in 2 months. It's kind of hard. I am so sorry, my dear. We're definitely praying for your son. Listen, we got, I have supporters here in the LLC that I have to consider and think of, and I'm always praying for all of you all. But that are actually that there's some going through some real heartache and some real issues and stuff. That's why I have to make sure that my content is something fulfilling and at least leave some sort of impression at the end of the day, right? So shout out to you and your son for serving this country, and I know it is nerve-wracking. I have 2 sons. I honestly cannot imagine them going to the military, and I pray to God we don't get to a point where they're talking about a draft. Okay, my oldest will be 17 this year, so I'm always on edge about that. So we're definitely praying for you and your son and your family, Model. We got Karen and she lost, Rusty and Skeeter and Mark. And dealing with, their son, his health issues and things. So it's some real people going through some real issues and having some real hurt and pain. So you guys know I'm definitely praying for you guys. And I thank God for all of you that support me here in the LLC. I appreciate every like, every sub, every view, every membership. I appreciate it heavily. As long as my members are only videos and aren't being put on a public platform like that, because we're not doing it. So, but yeah, we're definitely keeping your son in our prayers. Okay, y'all calm down. Everybody calm down. I don't want Chris to leave. If good night. No, Chris, you don't have to leave, man. It's all right. Hey, Lady Luck, I just sent you an email about that YouTube lawsuit. Oh, okay, cool. What's going on, Nita Bath? Okay, I'll check it out. I sure will. No one is covering NOI merging with Scientology on the internet. Write that down. Yeah, that's why I said I'm gonna be clipping more, and I've already started kind of doing some background research on Scientology. Like I said, I had no idea it was that, because I steer away from things that might be too controversial, especially when people are being hurt and stuff like that. But it's still something that needs to be brought to the forefront because people have been hurt because of the way they operate, especially how they treat children. It's just scary. Um, so yeah, I will check that out. And make sure you email. You guys can always email me at ladyluckclubllc@yahoo.com. Since we are going to be diving into, the Nature Boy with Eligio Bishop Cope, I'm definitely going to be, making sure I dive a little bit more into Scientology. And like I said, because my second channel is dedicated to being a Tommy G clipper, any information that I can clip from his content dealing with Scientology, I will be clipping it. The things that's coming out of there scary. Don't they dominate Florida? I mean, they headquartered in Florida, right? Scientology in Tampa, Florida, or Pensacola, one of them. Let me know. I could be wrong, but I know they have a heavy presence in Florida. Something I didn't know. I'm gonna be honest. Gotcha, Anita. I think his last name began with a P. Yeah, a few televangelists out there, but I the bigger ones I remember is Benny Hinn, Kenneth Copeland, Jimmy Swagger. Of course, people that are here in my state. Creflo Dollar's here. Um, John Osteen. The ones growing up, like I grew up on though, are the older ones. Few of them are deceased, so Jimmy Swagger passed today. Those are the ones I kind of grew up on and remember. The newer ones like Joel Osteen and Creflo Dollar came around when I was in college. Eddie Long, same thing when I was in high school, college. So let me know if you come across. All right, y'all, let's get started. We're gonna check out the Bakers. That's it. The Bakers. Yes, 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 yes. The Bakers. Okay, cool. All right. We're gonna get started, y'all. Let's put a one in the chat if you can hear and see. And let's get to it. This is ABC News Live.
When we're dealing with the witness tampering, I don't think it was that strong. You're dealing with D-Rock and the messages to Mia. I don't think it was that strong. Also dealing with Jane and the recording that KK recorded Sean Combs and Jane having that conversation. The forced labor, I think it was probably one of the weakest counts dealing with the predicate acts. And again, that's dealing with Mia and the long hours that they work, but also having put Cassie working as a sex slave pretty much. When you're dealing with the drug distribution, I thought that was the strongest count of the predicate acts having to deal with racketeering conspiracy, because we know the common thread that narcotics was given to Cassie and to Jane on more than one occasion. And all you have to prove is one incident within the possession with intent to distribute. You have the personal assistant saying that they were asked also to bring narcotics to give it to Sean Combs so it can be delivered during the free calls. And even Brendan Paul even said that on one occasion, Sean Combs had him try out some narcotics, and just giving him the narcotics to try out is sufficient to meet that count.
Rena, what can you tell us about the reaction in the courtroom?
Yeah, that begs the question, how is it that they did not at least reach the conclusion of conspiracy with the RICO thing? Now, I'm not quite sure how it is in New York as far as what the state law requires for you to meet that. When it comes to aspects of RICO, you're talking about, some sort of criminal enterprise or organization. So, oftentimes it implicates more than one person, right? But I still, if he had his own company and that was kind of named as a co-defendant, as individual, and whatever the company name is, that's still considered an organization. So I don't know if they really was trying to bring forth RICO against him individually or him and other co-defendants that were like his businesses and companies and organizations named as co-defendants. I think it was just against him as an individual, which would mean he would need co-conspirators. So I would have to look into that. I did not read his lawsuit or anything like that. I didn't dive deep into it. The most I did was react to cartoon 9-day Cartoon Network, because that's about as much as my brain could handle with him. But oh Lord. All right, let's go.
Well, Diane, we know that it has been very tense in that courtroom. It has been emotional. Combs yesterday, when there was a partial verdict, we saw him wiping tears from his eyes. He was slumped over in his chair. He was hugging his attorneys. Just a short time ago, a couple of minutes ago, we saw his family arrive back at the courthouse here. They have been here really every single day of this trial. Now, we are told that Combs was in the courtroom this morning for about 30 minutes. He was mostly reading a book, jotting down notes, and he spent most of the deliberations in a separate location. We are told, though, that everyone is making their way back to the courtroom. Lawyers from both sides, prosecutors are filling.
Okay, let me fast forward a little bit because I want to kind of get to the breakdown of what he was convicted of here. So
the conversation based on how the verdict came out. And so do I think he takes a big knock in terms of this case? Yes, but we've seen Sean Combs rebrand and come back from a lot of things, and that is a possibility here.
But let's put it into the context, Aaron Katursky, of the Me Too movement. I don't think anybody can forget the video, the surveillance video.
Well, here's the thing with the Me Too movement. I mean, it's it's like any other movement where you do have some bad actors that come in and taint the concept and the reason for the movement starting in the first place, right? So when you have people who have true, legitimate, and genuine cases of R word, SA allegations, those types of things, and then that gets muddied with people who are just bringing in allegations that might remotely turn out to be baseless. Even at worst, they end up having to go back to court because now they're being sued for defamation. It does kind of muddy the waters with the movement overall. And that's something that, a lot of people who supported P. Diddy here, kind of were indicating. They were like, well, we've seen too many cases where people have brought forth SA allegations and then they turn out to be, at best, baseless, at worst, defamatory. And then people kind of see, more than one or two cases of that happening. And then they, kind of make this assumption that this is pretty much the bulk of the movement. Might not be. It might not even be 50% of the people that come in end up with baseless claims. But even if you have a few that come in and taint the movement, it still changes the perception of how the public views this movement. And then it pushes people more towards believing him over the victim, because you start to see victims come in that aren't true victims and they muddy the waters. So a lot of the feedback and a lot of the people that supported him were more so they're on this trip of where, well, people came and lied on other celebrities in the past and, it ended up turning out not to be true. And then they forget about the ones that are valid and genuine and those victims and their plight and what they went through. I think we all can say he was at the very least definitely abusive. And that was proven with video footage of him abusing Cassie in a hotel. But the other charges would have had to be proven beyond a reasonable doubt. And I think, with him being such a high profile figure, the jury themselves, you had one or two that kind of were always on the fence. Once you get to a point where you're not really, the jury is not definitively convinced on some of these charges and the allegations, you end up with this type of result. So it wasn't what people expected. I was personally hoping that he at least got, found guilty on one of the trafficking charges pertaining to Cassie. But I mean, for whatever reason, the jury just didn't think it was enough there to do that. So it kind of sucks. But this is why I didn't really dive into it, because I just didn't want to be disappointed. I'm being honest. Because in this event where this happened, I'm like, well, they got him on 2 out of 5, but I was really hoping that trafficking charge would have stuck, because that would have been guaranteed like 10, 15 years in prison. No. We just got the prostitution thing. So, all right, let's get to it.
That we saw over and over again in that hotel hallway of Sean Combs, barely naked in a towel, kicking and dragging Cassie Ventura.
Yeah.
It's an unforgettable piece of video, and it was one of the most visceral pieces of evidence that the jury saw during the course of a nearly 2-month trial, Kira. Yeah. And the defense really admitted what's depicted on it is domestic violence, but they said all along he's not charged with domestic violence.
Right.
The defense insisted, even though the defense did not put on much of a case, called no witnesses, that what was depicted was not sex trafficking, and the jury seems to have agreed. And Sean Combs is clearly taking this outcome of a split verdict, guilty on only the transportation for the purposes of prostitution charges, as a win. The jury has been excused. As the 8 men and 4 women stood to leave their seats, Sean Combs made praying hands in their direction and bowed.
Okay, I think we got enough of that. Here's the gist of it. Rulings in court and the way these cases can go is always 50-50. First and foremost, that's the most important thing to remember. So it's never just direct. Even with what we assume to be sufficient or solid evidence, it's always a 50-50 crapshoot. And in a matter like this was a criminal matter. They were supposed to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. At the very least, you would think that they would have charged for, physical abuse, but they didn't. So y'all let me know what y'all think. Was it more of an issue with the prosecutor not really charging him with charges that could have definitely stuck and were easy to prove? Or, was it a matter of the jury and what they wanted to believe and understand as far as evidence supporting the charges? Or did he really have a really good defense, team with counsel? Yeah, and how much time do you all think he's going to get here? The maximum is 10 years per guilty charge for the prostitution, the transportation rather. Let me make sure I'm accurate in this. Transportation to engage in prostitution. Because these carry up to 10 years each. So he could be looking at a maximum of 20. But what if they only, just they give him 5 or 2 years, and then the other 3 is, probated basically, or he's out on probation. And then whatever time he's supposed to serve, they consider that time served, because he's been in prison for almost a year or so. Almost a year. So what do you all think? Y'all let me know. Because like I said, I didn't want to get too deep into this just in case this happened, because I do believe that his high profile status had a lot to do with it, but also because the prosecutor, they didn't go for the charges that they knew they could get at least a 99% conviction rate on. And it's kind of disappointing, especially when the FBI was the one that did the, investigation, because it paints this picture that the FBI known to have this 99% conviction rate. They may have done a thorough investigation, but then the prosecutors on their end didn't really kind of hit home with the charges. So it's annoying. It's like, what the evidence you've gathered, at least render charges that are going to definitely be proven beyond a reasonable doubt with the evidence and the testimony, because testimony is evidence. So at least go for the goal with the basics. And they didn't even do that. Damn it, prosecutors. All right, what's going on, Rosie? Enrique, I'm surprised more victims didn't testify. Yeah, I mean, the people that they put on the stand on behalf of the state were, I mean, you know, if Cassie got caught up in any lie, it almost kind of devalues her testimony. Let me say that. Doesn't mean that she was not abused, because we clearly see that. But it brings down the value of her testimony towards the other charges. And I think her lawsuit really got the ball rolling on the FBI investigation and this case and, you know, the matter overall. And it's kind of like you getting up there and you make one false statement and you already have people out here that are just diehard P. Diddy fans. You never know who was sitting on the jury, right? But you never know. And you make one false statement, people who really want to see his innocence, they're going to go and run with that. They're going to be like, oh, she lied that one time on that one statement with that one question. Could have told the truth about everything else, but that one lie, all of a sudden is supposed, oh, well, that means he's innocent. She lied one time. That's not realistic. That's not how it goes in court. But in a court of public opinion, totally different. And if you don't believe court of public opinion has sway on a court of law, Exhibit A. Exhibit A. I mean, even with the issue with Drake and UMG, you know, it's so crazy. So I think that's what I want to just kind of pull up. Oh, I had a video I wanted to show earlier with Drake, but I could just give an overview and my thoughts on that. First, y'all let me know what y'all think about his sentencing. How do you all think this is going to go with the sentencing? You think he's going to get any additional time in prison? You think he's going to get probation? Mondale said probation. Candia said, I think it was a mix of everything you said. I mean, yeah, you know, because all these things have to kind of fall in place. The chips have to fall in place to where the case you're presenting to the court, to the jury, to the judge needs to be well thought out and well established. You know, that's how you end up with a judge going off on Fannie Willis and her incompetent ass DA office, because they couldn't even put their case together with YSL. It was so many flaws in that fundamentally, just with the DA office not being able to present evidence or go about handling discovery properly and testimony, witnesses. Like it just, you know, when you have that level of incompetence, it really does tear down the case and just causes it to unravel. And in this scenario with P. Diddy, you know, even just the fact that there weren't enough, the charges that they brought forth, two of them ended up being, y'all don't forget the two charges that the prosecutor agreed to dismiss. That was proof already that the charges they brought forth weren't really strong enough. Aside from the transportation for the prostitution thing, they weren't really strong enough to drive it home. Especially where you see, I mean, almost towards the end of the hearing, the trial, the prosecutor saying, we'll dismiss these two charges. Are you kidding? I think, to me, in my mind, that was it. That was the moment I realized, yeah, the prosecutor just effed up. You don't dismiss charges towards the end of the trial. What are we doing here? So it's, you know, I think it just once that, and that happened what, last week before last, where the prosecutor agreed to drop two of the charges. I was like, oh hell, if they doing this, then they really don't have enough solid evidence to really get a conviction on these charges. And it wasn't like they was offering a plea deal. So who does it? Like, that's not normal to me. From the cases I've been able to observe and read about and reporting research on. It's not normal to me to see something like that happen. So that to me was just an indication. Okay, they already dropping the ball. So no matter how much more worse is this going to get? Model said probation. Skeeter, what's going on? How you and Mark doing? Hey, Mark, what's happening? Hey, LSC and Club, ain't this some ish? Yeah. Is Chris still here? Yeah, I want to be fair. I tell you, the all camps thing, I didn't really take that personal. So hopefully he'll come back. You're always welcome here, Chris. You're always welcome, man. What we see as victimization may have just been socially immoral. Yeah, I mean, that's why I say you got to be careful when it comes down to, like they was talking about with the Me Too movement. You got to be a little careful with that, because everybody that comes through bringing forth allegations, and they're doing it under the guise of this Me Too movement, aren't doing it with the best of intentions, and they don't really think about how it could backfire if the allegations aren't convincing. They don't have enough evidence to really prove it, especially if you're going after a high profile celebrity with a bunch of money. That's the first thing they're going to say. Oh, this is just a shakedown. We've heard it from all these celebrities, right? Same thing over and over and over again. Always a shakedown. They're just trying to get some money. They're just looking for a payday. They're looking for a handout. You got to get used to just hearing those defenses, because it's every single, in any scenario, you get the same thing over and over again. So the court of law is supposed to operate on the finding of fact, law, and evidence, and not how someone's opinion is on a matter. But to me, this is also kind of proof that there is a level of the court of public opinion's perception that could have some sway, because you still got a jury that's supposed to be representing the average reasonable person that's going to look at this evidence and the finding of fact and law, and they have to kind of interpret it as you will, in a way to where they feel that it warrants a conviction on a charge. And if they don't all agree, you're talking about a situation where you have a hung jury. So, they got 2 out of 5. Jesus. Put some music on, y'all. I need some white noise in the background. Okay. Woo, child. Let's get some more comments in. Oh, man. Everybody speaking to everybody. Hey, Carolyn, how you doing? How y'all doing? Skeeter said, not long enough. I hope the judge gives him max for both counts. Yeah, I mean, he should definitely, in my opinion, he should definitely get some more prison time. But I have a feeling that the way it had been handled and just how lengthy this was with the trial. I mean, there have been longer trials. Don't get me wrong. But, the way this was handled, the way the prosecutor brought forth the charges, and then the way they dismissed 2 out of originally 7 down to 5. It's the judge might go ahead and just say, okay, well, I'll sentence you to 5 years. 2 of them, or 1 of them, I'll consider time served. The rest will be probation. So they did offer a proposal for him to be out on bond to get a release. And what do those bond conditions look like? He offered $50 million. And then today, of course, their proposal for bond for him was like 3 signatures on a $1 million bond. It's like, that's pocket change for him. He could pay that. But, when you feel like you have the upper hand, attorneys are meant to be overly zealous for their clients, even if it means exaggeration. So when you feel like you've gotten the upper hand, it's like, well, the 2 charges that they convicted you of is not that bad, not that big of a deal. The judge may not even give you half of that time in prison. You never know. 50-50. Let's see. Well, he might get 2 years. The most I am leaning to probation. Yeah, I'm. Even if he does get time, I think it'll be probated to, probation and then time served for the time he spent in prison. I'm kind of, that's where I'm leaning towards. Good evening, LLC. Late again. It's all right, Auntie. How you doing? Hey, Tanya. How you doing? Yeah. Oh, so happy to have all of you all tuning in. 43 people watching. Make sure you hit the like button, guys. I have a lot of content I need to make up and do. So I'm not gonna try to hold you guys too long, but I miss you guys. I wanted to give you guys a great show tonight and have some real discussion on things that's going on. Jim and I said the charges should have been more solid. Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, when they dismissed 2 of them, I was like, okay, yeah, they playing around. What's going on, Kadia? Everybody in here? When I heard the defense had no defense, I felt some kind of way. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't that strong. Like it seemed like they were kind of going on Cassie's lawsuit that was settled last year, and the biggest piece of evidence being that video footage of the abuse in the hotel, but it didn't really, prove beyond a reasonable doubt, some level of trafficking. What happened to all of the video footage from his home security cameras that they allegedly confiscated? What happened to that? That's what those are the questions in my mind. What happened to all the evidence they collected in those raids? They raided 2 or 3 of his houses? That's my thing. Didn't they pull some video footage from his home security cameras? He had cameras all throughout his house. How the hell they miss all that? Yeah, I always say I'm a big believer in following laws, and they are what they are. But I don't like every law out there either. Some laws are just outdated, need to be repealed altogether. Some need to be amended. I believe that there's always opportunity to, amend these laws to where it's relevant for our time and what's going on, and what you see as far as a trend in court. We need laws that make sense. And it's just kind of like, ugh. So the FBI dropped this for sure. Maybe it was planned. I think they had a couple of huge weaknesses, and the defense kind of, just outmaneuvered them a little bit. And plus, they didn't put Diddy on the stand because, like I said, testimony is evidence. And I believe if he would have gotten up there like Super Stupid, he would have probably told on himself on a lot of things. I personally think if they would have put him on the stand, he would have just talked too damn much and would have said a bunch of bull, and it really would have hurt his case. So them not putting him on the stand was just a smart move and strategic. It's not uncommon. That happens a lot, especially when you understand your client. His attorneys did the right thing for his defense and keeping him off that stand, because whatever they ask, then the prosecutors would have had the right to cross-examine on that. And all of that testimony would have been evidence. And he may have just implicated himself on a few more things that because he runs his mouth. He's a narcissist, Hopefully prison has humbled him enough, but he's still gross. Just, being honest. It doesn't take away from the fact that he's still a disgusting piece of human waste, but whatever. It's kind of like, if he got on that stand, he would have landed in prison. They would have been like, oh, he admitted it's trafficking. There it is. Who knows what he would have said? Yeah, it would have been great content. But yeah, his attorneys knew, nah, you ain't finna get up there and make all of us look bad. Hell no, you talk too much. So they knew what they were doing. They was like, no, sit your ass down. You just gonna sit in here and observe for the next 5 months or however long it took to get to this point. Jesus. Auntie said the judicial system sucks overall. Yeah, when it's flawed and it's not fair and impartial, yeah, it can suck. Yeah, it can suck. Think what you will about the president. He's still convicted of criminal charges. He just wasn't sentenced to anything. That is the perfect example of the judicial system sucking right now. Or when you have impartial judges that are being investigated by the JQC that should have never been a judge in the first place. One of them I've been reporting and researching on. Judge Shamila Williams. You still suck. We got to do an update video on her as well. She's had some hearings within the last 2 weeks. Diddy should do time, not probation. Yeah. deep down, I feel he should too. But as far as how this has gone so far, and the shock of the not one of the trafficking charges sticking, who knows? I feel that I don't want to disappoint myself, so I feel that the judge might, if he sentences him, he might consider some time served and give him probation. But could be wrong. R. Kelly's still in jail. He's still there. Oh man, that's something else. Oh man. Okay. So R. Kelly got stuck with a RICO charge. Did it the same, and it was not proven. But shaking my damn head. I know. For a sure, weak defense. Yeah. If you believe Kels will be getting out, I don't think he should get out simply because he was threatened to get hurt or whatever. That's not a reason to just let him out of prison. I mean, he was convicted, he was sentenced. You know, that at some point the judicial system needs to correct itself and not sit here and just pick and choose when it wants to uphold laws or not. But no, I mean, because it's going to set a horrible precedence. Anybody will go to prison and just say, they threatened to shank me in the bathroom 3 times. And then you get the attorney come out, Bo Brindley, his greasy, slimy ass, talking about, well, I think my client should be released immediately because he was threatened. That's unfortunately, it's a normal thing. Prisoners get shanked, they get threatened all the time to get hurt, harmed, or whatever. Depending on what they did, they may have a target on their back. I mean, that's not unusual. That's very common. He's a high-profile celebrity, and then the charges that was levied against him and the allegations and what he did, you got a lot of prisoners. They'll sit here and go on a spree all day on robbing and hitting up banks and all this stuff, but you go in there on some stuff about women and children. Ironically, that's where they draw the line. So it's not uncommon for someone to get a threat, especially depending on why you're there in prison. But to say that he should be released because he got this threat, no, we should not. Then all the prisoners, then we won't have a prison system. All the prisoners gonna want to get out. It's just gonna start a horrible precedent. So that's not a convincing enough reason for a judge to say, yeah, we'll go ahead and just let him out. No, don't nobody care about what Brindley wants. Oh man, I still feeling from that verdict. I really thought if they nabbed R. Kelly, he should have had the similar sentence. Yeah. Diddy was messing with consenting adults. R. Kelly, not so much. Yeah, exactly. Well, see, the allegation with P. Diddy was that he messed around with minors too, but it's a matter of just the evidence and the testimony at hand and how the case was presented. And didn't they do a surviving R. Kelly before he was sentenced? Maybe after, I don't know. But he had 2 whole documentaries of victims that came out on him. So, and many of them were willing to speak up and testify directly to the charges. So I think that case was just better. It was just more well prepared, and the charges were more substantial, and they had sufficient evidence for those charges to stick. And it just didn't really land home with P. Diddy. It just didn't. That is for that cheesecake. This is for that cheesecake. Okay, that was the difference. But what about those fools like Usher and Justin B were kids when they went to Diddy? But I see they would not testify. Exactly. That was another thing. How many of these people came out of the woodworks that are other high-profile celebrities? How many did you see come out and really try to testify against it? And I'm talking about high-profile here. The ones that, could be theorized to be victims as well, like Justin Bieber. He didn't want to half of them didn't even want to speak on it. What was Jay-Z at again? Yeah. And Jay-Z, to his defense, he had someone try to come out and file a lawsuit, and say the same thing. And he was able to get that dismissed. So, he definitely tried to stay out of it. Now you got Fat Fluffy Joseph. We went over his lawsuit, y'all. The full lawsuit is up on the members only channel for LLC readers. That's that $4.99 one. And you guys see the pattern, the common theme. So what P. Diddy might have been able to avoid, hell, Fluffy Fat Joseph might catch it. Well, Tyler Perry, let's not forget about him. And I know Fluffy Fat Joseph, you know, was signed on with Rock Nation. That's directly related to Jay-Z, and he had ties with P. Diddy. So he might get, you never know. His case goes to court. He might be found guilty on the same charges. It's all about how the case is presented and the evidence that supports it. So yeah, that'll be something else. Gemini said R. Kelly was messing with minors. I think that made a difference. Yeah. And that's probably one of the reasons why people, threatening his ass now in prison because of minors. They raided 3 of his houses. Oh yeah, okay. He has one in New York, Florida. Was the other one California? Yeah, all them raids, and you couldn't produce any additional home video footages. He claimed he was recording everybody at these white parties and all these baby oil type gatherings. If everybody's being recorded, you wouldn't you think that he would show up on a video footage? What happened to that evidence? That's my whole thing. See, the way that case was just God, prosecutor just really effed that up. I think FBI moved too fast and fumbled. I think it was more the prosecutor bringing forth these charges that really did not stick. That's the FBI, their job is to investigate, but it is the job of the prosecutor, whether it be the DA or the attorney general, to bring forth the charges to the court and try the case in court, representing the state. So, or U.S. I think it was a federal, right? Yeah. So it really falls on them to ensure, as the AG or the DA or what have you, that the charges stick, that the case is presented and argued well, and that the evidence that was gathered from the FBI investigation can prove beyond a reasonable doubt that these charges he should be convicted of these charges. Me personally, that's my opinion. I think that's where the ball was really fumbled. But I do understand, the sentiment. I only heard he messed with those 2 kids, supposedly. All right, cool. Oh man, y'all. So yeah, P. Diddy is pretty much, I don't know if the prosecutor is going to try to bring forth any additional charges moving forward. If there is any new evidence that comes up, maybe they will try. Maybe not. But this is the thing with courts. It's kind of like a 50-50 sort of ordeal, right? Yeah, I was disappointed. I was disappointed. Exactly, GB. The domestic violence wasn't one of the charges, but it should have been. But it wasn't. And I want to believe that it probably was not included because it would have been specific to Cassie, seeing that was the strongest evidence to show that. And she had already sued and settled that last year. So it's kind of like, it's not double jeopardy because it never went through criminal proceeding, but to file a federal lawsuit against someone, even though it was settled, and then to try to say, okay, we're going to take those same allegations and now we're going to charge them criminally. When they've already pretty much, you settling out of court is, you might not be saying you're guilty, but it damn sure does not directly point to innocence either. I mean, who settles if they truly believe that they're innocent? But I think it was because of that video footage from the hotel that he knew existed, that he could not pay that hotel to keep from, handing over to Cassie's attorney. I think that was the main reason why he decided to settle. That's exactly why he did not take the stand. Yeah, not the point. I just never understood why anyone would even wanted to be with his unattractive ass. Yeah, I know money talks. But look at him and they can. I know everything that BO does is never taken seriously by the courts. From what I've read, Bo Brinley, yeah, no one should be taking him seriously. He's a joke. He should have been reprimanded by now. I mean, he got on live television and lied about somebody having a knife in their hand. I mean, seriously. You know, whether a knife was there at the melee or not is irrelevant. Was it in his hand as you allege? No. Everybody can see that, you know? It's just crazy. But what sentence did Bill Cosby got convicted of? Those ladies were adults. Yeah. And I think they filed under, one of them filed under New York's Victim Act, where they can go back and, you know, it's not, it doesn't have anything to do with the timely filing. I think that was one of the things that it changed is, you know, you get 18 months to file something. And then anytime outside of that period, you know, you're ineligible to file a lawsuit because of the timely filing period. But I think that Victims Act that they created in New York opened that avenue up to where that no longer applied with the timely filing limit. So, but they were young. I mean, a couple of those cases were old, like 20 years old. Whoo, child. All right, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm going to just get down to the bottom here because I want to go ahead and get to the next. Here, a lot of people think he's just going to get probation, man. It's sad to say. I want to get to this Dalton. Yeah. The Dalton meeting with the Pope and all of that good stuff. I want to get to that. So I'm going to pull up the village of Dalton and just get to the part about, you know, the trustees making comments about the Pope's house and let me see. Because I didn't want to play the whole thing. What's going on with the video? Okay.
Everybody, what?
Oh Lord, it's loud. So I'm gonna play the portion where the trustees kind of give their spiel about after they came back from the closed session, executive session, closed session, and they were talking about the house and why they're trying to acquire it. And then I'm going to show some video clips so that you guys can kind of understand the bigger context and my thoughts on it and why I have those thoughts. So let's get to it. You guys put a 1 in the chat. If it's too loud, let me know. I'll turn it down. Just kind of blast it in my ear. So let's get to this here. Put a 1 in chat if you can see in here. Let's go.
What is this? Oh, it's my angle. It's me. I didn't want to lean down anyway. All right. Good evening. I'll ask. Are you ready, Clerk?
Yeah.
Okay. I asked Clerk Key to do a roll call for us to reconvene this meeting.
Okay, Trustee Tammy Brown.
Present.
Trustee Norwood.
Present.
Trustee Stan Brown.
Here.
Trustee Belcher.
Here.
Trustee Steve.
Present.
Meeting reconvened at 7:23 p.m.
Okay, we will go right into our discussion, and I will ask for a motion for the approval of purchase of 212 East 141st Place in Dalton and 200 East 141st Place in Dalton, Illinois. Is there a motion? So moved.
Second.
Here, a motion by Trustee Edward Steve and second by Trustee Brittany Norwood. We'll go in discussion. I'll ask the board if they don't mind if I have comments first on this.
All right.
Really want to make sure that I'm speaking to some of the concerns that are out there, because I understand that there is concern in particular given our financial condition that we've inherited in this village. So I do hear those pleas and concerns loud and clear. We've made mention, I would say, originally upon hearing the news of the desire. We've also got many people that understand and have praise, and there's many people that are rightfully concerned over what we are, or what I'm asking that we proceed with. And hearing that concern, there are several things that I want to make sure that I do address. Some are talking about the repair of our streets, current infrastructure, and back bills. We are fully committed and will be doing both. This does not derail from our intention, our drive, and what we are going to do to repair the streets. We had negotiated recently because we had to identify some vendors that are willing to partner, and that's been a big undertaking for us in our infancy phases. And we found people that are willing to begin partnering with us, similar to the partnership that we will be getting on the if approved.
Thank you, Candia. I just wanted to make sure I clarified the states that these homes were rated. I don't even pause on this because I'm trying to get through you guys' comments. Because I definitely want to just see what you guys are saying. My dad said I worked in a prison 13 years, and if someone threatening you, you would just go to protective custody. Exactly. I don't understand the notion that R. Kelly should be free because of a threat. Typically they just put him in, a more secure, area of the prison, or they just send him somewhere else and maybe not tell, the public where he is necessarily. Just to kind of upgrade the security that he has and then put him in isolation. I mean, if you got a threat on your life, then you shouldn't be around the other inmates. I don't know if y'all just heard me. You shouldn't be around the other inmates. If you get a threat on your life, you definitely should be going into some sort of isolation area or some sort of separate wing of the prison itself, or just be transported to another facility. But to demand his full release on a threat of anything like that's common in prison is absolutely absurd. And really there would be what finding of fact of law could Bo Brinley even conjure up to convince a judge to just release R. Kelly on the threat of harm itself when there are other measures in place. I'm not saying he should be harmed. I'm not condoning that. I'm simply saying it has to be based on the finding of fact of law and evidence to justify the release of someone who's been convicted and sentenced for the charges that he's been convicted of. And the time that he's serving is not something you just kind of ignore and push to the side simply because of a threat. There are other contingencies in place. You just put them in a secure area, or you just take them to a different facility. When those measures have not been exhausted and tried, and you're talking about just release them, Bo Brinley should know better. He keeps effing up. He's just gonna go in and piss the judge off. What do you mean I should release him? What the hell are you talking about? Are you the same person that tried to represent little super stupid in Dalton? You that same attorney that said someone had a knife when they didn't, and it's on video footage. And the person you alleging had a knife. They didn't have a knife. It was a microphone. It was a microphone. We're not talking about the presence of a knife being there. No, we're talking about the direct allegation that an individual person had the knife in their hand during the melee. And it's on video that it was a microphone. See, the judges watch YouTube as well. Y'all, my godmother watches my videos. That's why I have to, sometimes I gotta just reel it back because I know I have loved ones watching, and she's one of them. So it's kind of like these judges watch these, videos. They see what's going on. They're not that aloof, and they know that Bo Brinley is slimy as hell. He should have already been sanctioned or something. Because child, talking about malicious slander. He's discrediting himself by lying that bad on something that everyone can see is not true in a video. And now he wants R. Kelly released because of a threat, when the alternatives, the resolutions to that is to, first step, put him somewhere else. If that doesn't work, let's transfer him to a different facility. If that doesn't work, then maybe you present some sort of argument to say that no prison can hold him. He keeps getting threatened, and what are we doing? Personally, I think he should be in there for the rest of his natural born life, but whatever. I'm not looking at the notoriety of him and his music. I'm looking at the facts and the evidence and the law and the charges at hand. He need to be in there for a very long time. But no, you don't just go straight to release someone. That means that every prisoner would be released All because Bo Brinley is still an idiot. Hell. Kick rocks, Bo Brinley. Kiss my ass. All right. Oh, Lordy. Jay-Z not finished yet. He a liar. Okay. All right, let's get back to it. I just wanted to kind of give my little spiel on that.
Approved by board on this endeavor
Brinley,
as well.
kiss my ass.
You will see streets being repaved as quickly as the end of this week. In particular, I'm looking at the hole that's been sitting out here on King Drive for more than 6 to 8 months. When it comes to the maintenance of the property, because that property will have to be maintained, but our policemen as well as Public Works have been governing that already. That's a current cost that will be in place and is in place at this very moment. We've had charters come in here. We want to make sure that anybody that
that's the yeah. Thank you, Gemini. Cassie filed under the New York Victim Act. She filed on the last day the act expired. Oh, yeah. I'm telling you, I didn't read the court cases and stuff like that related to P. Diddy. It was just like, ugh. But thank you for letting me know that. The last day, yeah, that's that. Oh man. But look what happened. She ended up, getting a settlement. So, but he got caught on video abusing her at a hotel. Like, he's just gross. P. Diddy is gross.
that comes into our community is safe. We will make sure that continues to happen. That's a cost we will incur whether we own the property or not. There will be no getting around that. Why would we?
Shout out to you, Laura. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for renewing your member. Lady Luck Chatters are the best. Yes, we're awesome here. We're in the YouTube mansions, y'all. YouTube mansions. Thank you so much, Laura. Gifted one Lady Luck Club membership. Thank you so much. Shout out to you, Laura. Somebody got lucky and gifted a membership. Yeah, we will be checking out random news, the rest of that video in the members only live, because I think we all could use just a good old fashioned laugh. Have to keep the grounds in prime condition. Neighbors will have a constant barrage of visitors walking around. What about all those outstanding bills that need to be settled? Preach LLC should be speaking. He's speaking of the judicial house and remind judges of their responsibility, as both should have been ousted. Yeah, I think the judges know, kind of get a feel of these attorneys, especially when they're used to them, handling cases in the same court. Bo Brinley just seems to be all over the place, but the way he's going about doing it, yeah, he's going to catch it from a judge at some point. Some judge is going to read him his rights up and down and all around at some point, because the rate he going, I don't see how anyone can think that he is a viable, credible attorney whatsoever. Like, good grief. Slimeball it's not enough adjectives to describe him. Bo Brinley, you can kiss my ass. All right, going back to it.
Not want to participate in that and get the benefit of this historic moment moving forward. I think this is a proud moment for our village, a proud opportunity, and we want to make sure that we're doing it justice. We're honoring those that are members of this faith. So I say that not by way of challenging those who have concerns. I feel that every concern that has been brought is just, it is right. We hear it, and we are going to push forward to make sure that we do justice. We are looking at it with this once in a.
Thank you, Saint. Thank you so much. Gifted one Lady Luck Club membership. Awesome. Bad Bruck Brinley. Yeah, he creepy. Shout out to you, Saint and Laura. Two of the best minds I can say out here on YouTube. Thank you all so much for supporting me and gifting those memberships. That is fantastic. So 2 more people get to enjoy our members only live, where we're going to laugh with random news and his epic video. All right, let's get back to it.
A lifetime, and I will say this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. We can either seize this moment and move it forward, or we can let that moment go to an investor. I would like for our community to get the benefits of this opportunity and work together, that we have enterprise zones, historic land districts. So the opportunities that have come across have been numerous opportunities for historic zones where we can get state and congressional funds. That
I know you guys don't like it when I speed it up too fast, but I mean, it's just kind of dragging. I don't want to, I want to have some good dialogue, and I have a couple other videos to show, so I sped it up.
That'll come into this town, so we will make people proud. And there's one big thing, because we're going through our budget season right now, and there's one thing that I've learned over time is that you cannot cut your way out of a deficit. We have to make sure that we have economic opportunities that will also add to our revenue while we are working towards being streamlined and efficient. And I can promise you this Board of Trustees is holding me accountable every single day, and that's exactly what we signed up to do. So I will be making the ask of this Board of Trustees, and I thank those who have expressed their concerns. I genuinely want to say that because it's very, very valid. Those concerns are heard and received, and we'll work to make sure that everybody is proud of this as we could reach the conclusion. But I'll defer to any board member that has comment at this time. They're not used to me talking this long, I promise.
52 people watching, making sure you please hit that like button. Let's get this video up in the algorithm. We got some good stuff flowing in the chat. Appreciate you all for tuning in. Thank you all for supporting me here, and thank Saint and Laura for the gifting of memberships. Y'all, trust me, it's worth it. Got more court docs coming up that are hard to find that will be posted to our lovely members in the LLC. Let's go.
Okay, I hear Trustee Belcher.
Good evening, everyone. First, I would like to say, because a comment was made, I do not think that the Village of Dalton is in the business of real estate. I've said it before, and I said it again tonight. But I do think that this is, as the mayor said, a one-time opportunity in a lifetime, unless we have another pope or some famous person come from Dalton. But in the long run, I think that this is going to benefit our community. And when we start having a lot of concerns about our roads and start having concerns about just things that's going on that we need to make sure that we have funding for, our faith in our mayor of making this decision that is going to take our town on a pathway of making sure that we are looking at financially how this will help us in the long run. And I'm asking just the citizens of Dalton to stand with us as we make this decision, because we know that in the long run, it will help all of us as a village. So I, Trustee Belcher, am in support of it right now, because I know that what the future holds and how this can help us in the long run.
Thank you, Trustee Belcher. Any additional discussion at this time? Trustee Steve?
I would like to say that, we hear the complaints, we hear it. We are very well aware of the potholes and stuff that we got to overcome. But this is a once in a lifetime thing. Our lawyer just gave us what has went on to the other Pope's house throughout the world, and this type of the traffic that it produces for that city, wherever that the Pope's house are. So this is a great opportunity.
This is very important, what he just said, because I have some videos of what he is basically speaking of as precedents, right? So there is some historical context to the Pope's childhood homes, no matter where the Pope grew up, becoming historic landmarks, becoming hot tourist attractions, being open to the public, being turned into museums. There is historical precedence to show that with the previous popes. So I have about 2 or 3 videos I'm going to show of just that. So I'm glad he mentioned that, because the attorney did the right thing. It's a very smart move to show, listen, we're not the only, village or government entity, rather, that's sitting here thinking about trying to purchase the home, the childhood home of a sitting pope who has to be one of the top 2-3 most influential people on earth. Despite how anyone feels about Catholicism, I'm not a Catholic. I'm just speaking of the influence and the notoriety of the Pope itself and the position it represents. It's always going to be a demand when someone becomes the Pope to want to get a background, like a full view of their childhood, where they grew up, where they attended mass, where they went to school, family life. You're talking about internationally, where people are interested and are diehard supporters of the Pope and will spend money to go see the childhood home of a Pope. Lots of money. So I just want you all to keep that in mind, because that was a very good point. And hopefully the other videos that I have will add some context to that. All right, let's get back to it.
If you can see, if you ever ride over there, if you ever see the traffic over there and the constant traffic, constant bus loads in and out of our town, this is a great opportunity for us. And there's other, I know the Martin Luther King house, even Michael Jackson's house, which is not even controlled by Gary, I think, but this is a historical thing. The first Pope and first American Pope, and it's from Dalton. So this stuff that we got tonight, I'm going to get a digital format of this, and we're going to put this on the website for everybody to look at of what these other Pope houses.
Has that been posted up yet? I mean, I have 2 or 3 videos I'm going to show, but either way, has that been posted up? I haven't looked at the website. I'm not asking to be funny. I'm truly asking because I'm curious to know if it's actually been posted. But all right, let's get back to it.
Historical houses have done and what they continue to do, and it's a great opportunity for our village. So that's just what I want to say, sure. And we hear you. They say I drive fast. I busted 2 tires on some of these roads, and it is terrible. It is terrible.
To slow down.
We're paying our back bills, and we owe some people. We found vendors that finally going to work with us.
I know I drive fast.
And like the mayor said, I can't wait to.
Why would you say that out loud on national television? Now you're gonna have people looking to see if you're driving fast, so you can get a speeding ticket. Why would you say that? Yeah, that's called incrimination. I'm just kidding. No, I would never say that. Now people are going to be trying to get you hemmed up for a speeding ticket. Come on, man.
This whole King Drive is fixed. There's a hole over front of the Dalton Library that needs to be fixed.
Oh,
we're very well aware of these things, and we're working to get it fixed. But we can do this great thing at the same time.
Thank you, Trustee Steve. Any additional comments?
Yeah, may I be recognized?
Okay, I got Trustee Norwood.
Let me first start by saying I am not getting in the car with him. Okay, you do drive fast. But overall, I want to say that I heard the concerns today, and I want the residents to know that our mission is the same mission that it has been for the last 4 years, and that's to move this town forward. Yes, these are tough decisions that we have to make, but it comes with the duty to do what's best for the people in the town. When I was younger, I remember my mom taking me to Gary. We went to see Michael Jackson's home from there because we were in the area. We went to the candy stores in the area. And it's just something that I always remembered. I mean, I'm grown now, but this happened when I was 8 or 9. So I am happy that we will be able to actually benefit. We hear the concerns with the roads. So we are thinking of ways that we can generate more money for the town. That's the ultimate goal. So I just want you all to know that when we are up here making these tough decisions, we live here also. So we understand that there are important things that needs to be done with the streets. I mean, but I also understand that Rome wasn't built in a day. So I just want everyone to know that our goal is always to make sure that we're doing what's best for the people. I know sometimes everyone may not understand it, but just understand that later on, this will all make sense, and we do have a plan. So we do want you all to keep faith in us and just know that we're still here for the people. We live here also, and we want to keep this town great. And for us to have this home and make it a landmark, I'm actually really excited. So thank you.
Okay.
Speak, Mayor.
Absolutely, Trustee
Thank you.
Tammy.
Just to piggyback a little bit off of what Trustee Ed Steve said, if you actually go to the area and you see the people that come from different states, from all over the world, just to actually see the Pope's house, we know it's not the same as to when he was living there, but it's just the excitement to see the people just to be standing on those grounds, on the porch, just in the area. And we know also that the area has to have some upkeep and maintain. But if the people in that neighborhood see the things that we are trying to do, that would encourage them to do a little bit more with that area also. Even with that being said, I have had people that have reached out to me from all over, wanted to give donations to help us out with the purchase, the area, all sorts of things. So when we do it the correct way, in a long run.
And that, to that point, I think it would help, especially those that are concerned about where is the money coming from to buy the house. I think it would help to kind of post that information up and maybe see who the sponsors are that are willing to donate money to help the village purchase the home. That way, you kind of quell, at the very least, the concerns of where is the money coming from, because now you can show people here are the sponsors that are willing to donate X amount of dollars. There's a contact information in case you all want to find out for yourself. If you don't believe us, take our word for it or anything. Okay, we'll leave up the proof of all the people that have come to us. And then if you guys want to question and dig deep further, here's their email addresses and websites and phone numbers that you can reach them and ask them questions and blah, blah, blah. Like, that probably would have quelled a lot of this, because I think the biggest pushback on this is, where is the money coming from to buy the house in the first place? If you're talking about a deficit, water bills, bonds, streets, businesses, all these things that the money could go towards. You know, if you have sponsors, great. Maybe a lot more of the residents would be okay with the acquisition if they can see and confirm for themselves. Okay, they do have some sponsors willing to donate, $500,000 or $100,000 here, $20,000 there, $1 million here. You got some truly wealthy investors that definitely wanted to take this house. So it would help to post that information too, just for transparency, if that makes sense.
It will pay for itself. It will pay for itself. And again, you're making hard decisions. We're making hard decisions as an elected official and as a resident. This is to benefit all of us. We got a new start. Let's go in that positive direction and do some positive things. And this is one of them. So I hope that everyone understands and agree with us with this decision we're about to make. But again, in the long run, see where this is going to take us. There's going to be some great things that's happening here in Dalton. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Brown. Trustee Stan.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to say I'm a man. And
yes, I do recognize that he will not be named in the Lady Luck Club is absent from this meeting. As I've always said, he was a non-MFing factor and was never needed. He's not needed. They've been able to conduct business previously before the former rejected mayor lost her position. He missed like what, five, 6 meetings, and they were still able to handle business with him being absent. So his presence really meant nothing. Like, he doesn't have to be there for them to get things done. Despite the decisions and they're making, the fact that they're able to make decisions and vote on things, they don't need, he will not be named to be present. That's how much of a non-MFing factor he is right now in the grand scheme of everybody's life. So, yeah, no, I just didn't understand why he needed to show up. And Alicia Nicole pointed that out in the last meeting, and she hit the nail with the hammer. Why are you here? You pretending like everything's okay. Everybody's trying to play nice. Nobody owe him anything. No one owes he who will not be named a damn thing. They don't owe him any time, attention, money, nothing. They don't owe him nothing. We all know that he's still a trustee and he can't be fired, and he's definitely not going to resign. We all know these things, but it doesn't mean that we have to just overlook his behavior. The 2 lawsuits still pending in court against him that I've actually gone over, and the allegations that, in my opinion, seem to be very credible based on what I read in the lawsuits. There are 2. Let's not forget that. Plus, there are other witnesses to corroborate the allegations. Even if they didn't do everything in the right way, you still have, in both of those cases, 2 grown men that are able to corroborate and hopefully testify in court, if need be, to support the allegation that had nothing to gain or lose with that. I mean, hell, Officer Miles, even though he didn't do the exact right thing all the way, he could have easily lost his job too. She didn't have no problem firing people for no reason. She did it with Fania Dukes. So his presence was not needed. It never was. So yeah, he can miss the rest of the meetings until he gets voted out, and no one would care. No one would care. Just had to say that.
And a God, and I do believe in a God. And whether you're Catholic, Catholic, Protestant, or whatever you may be, we serve the same God.
What are you saying?
So it's okay if we want to.
Hold on, Protestant.
And I do believe in a God. And whether you're Catholic, Catholic, Protestant, or whatever you may be, we serve the same God.
No, did he say Protestant? What is a Protestant? What the heck is a Prodicus?
I like to say, I'm a man of God,
Am I hearing this?
and I do believe in a God. And whether you're Catholic, Catholic, Protestant, or whatever you may be, we serve the same God. So it's okay if we want to help our Catholics. We want to do something that the Catholics does. So I just believe in this is opportunity that's been given us, and I do believe in wait on the Lord. Be good courage. He's here to strengthen our town. So don't let this opportunity get away from us. He's given us opportunity.
Hey, wait a minute. Hold on, Deacon. Easter suit, blue, black, all that. Shout out to Cooking with Frank. What is he trying to? First of all, what's a Prodicus? And is he trying to quote scripture? I believe the word of God says, "Wait on the Lord and be of good courage, and He will strengthen thine heart." Am I wrong? What did he just say? Prodicus? What does that mean? He just said Prodicus. Y'all look at the closed caption. It came up Protus. What?
But again, in the long run, see where this is going to take us. There's going to be some great things that's happening here in Dalton. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Brown. Trustee Stan.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to say I'm a man of God.
Are you?
And I do believe in a God. And whether you're Catholic, Catholic, Protestant, or whatever you may be, we serve the same God. So it's okay if we want to help our Catholics. We want to do something that the Catholics do. So I just believe in this is opportunity that's been given us, and I do believe in wait on the Lord. Be of good courage. He's here to strengthen our town. So don't let.
Yeah, that's the quickest way to make God mad. First you said Prodicus, then you said Catholic, and then you said Captain, and now you're just trying to quote a scripture that, just quote the scripture. Pull up Bible.com on your phone and quote it right. Deacon Easter suit. Yeah, he's sitting here looking like he literally is about to head to Golden Corral after a Sunday service.
Let this opportunity get away from us. He's given us opportunity to clam back because we have been put on the back row.
What a clown.
So now we have opportunity to get on the front row. So we don't want to let this opportunity get away from us. And we definitely don't want to cross no lines that we shouldn't cross. And yes, we're trying to build things up here in the village of Dalton. So with the residents supporting us, give us that opportunity to make a decision, because you don't make a bad decision if you don't make a decision at all. So
this is coming from the man that made many, many decisions to increase or get more bonds. Because he's in videos, in meetings, saying the same stuff, the same rhetoric to get people convinced to believe that more bonds is the way to go for a damn water park. I wonder what the Prodicus have to say about this, because Prodicus be Prodicing. Will the real people of the Prodicus please stand up? Yeah, I used to, man. This is why I said we're going back to that good old-fashioned content where I could just clown somebody for a good 20 minutes or so, and we all have a good laugh on this. The Prodicus have to be mad right now and probably praying to God that polyester Easter suit just starts to unravel before our eyes. Are you kidding me? Oh, man. I'm sure the Prodicus are just pretty much yelling at their phone saying, "Thanks for the insult, bro." The Prodicus are not happy. They're just not happy.
We were doing this here from our hearts and from the information that we have been given, because I do have some relatives that live in Atlanta, Georgia. And I go to Martin Luther King
Atlanta out your mouth, bro.
Atlanta, just to walk through the halls of what this man has actually been in. And I have been to the Pope's house at 212. He's 141st place. And you just still get that feeling. So yes, everything over there has been built. All the old things have been taken out, but it's still where the Pope came from. So the Pope didn't just come here. He's been here. The Lord just revealed it to us. But this man been here over 50 years ago. So it's nothing that just came. So he actually...
Yeah, because the Prodicus, can shed a whole lot of light on that one. Because they know all about the Pope all too well. Prodicus and all.
Actually given this opportunity to bring something to our town, to take us from the basement of despair, and now we're in the balcony of success. So we just like to go there and make the best of this here. So thank you for the support, residents, because I'm a 35-year resident here. And actually, I talked with some individual that has came to visit the Pope's house. This man actually used to come to Dalton Park. So right now, you in history right now, being in Dalton Park.
Oh my God.
So this is some good land we in. So let's just glad and rejoice in it.
He is.
Thank you very much, Trustee Stan.
Let us land and rejoice in it. You know, this is coming from someone who just discovered a whole new religion of people called Protestants. You know, I don't even know what he was trying to say. Was he trying to say Pentecostal? Is that it? What was he going for here? Deacon Easter Suit, you're a whole clown. You understand? You're a clown. I don't even know why anyone would trust you at this point. The way you voted and advocated for this little girl that just wanted to build a water park after a wasteless skating rink. And you wanted more bonds for that dumbass water park that no one needed. But not the streets, not that water bill. Something that would have definitely gone through the roof, straight to God above himself, if you all would have had a water park built. What you thought the water bill was going to look like after a water park is built? It was just the dumbest thing ever. Why build a water park if you're already having problems with the water bill? Because, you know, Deacon Easter Suit, in case you don't understand how math works, the more water you use, the higher the usage fee and the higher the water bill would have been. Why would you want to advocate at any given time for more bonds for a dumbass water bill, a water park, when you still owed as a village on water bills? Make that make sense? Make it make sense? What a clown he is. Just kick rocks, bro.
I believe we got all board members. With that being said, Clerk Key, I'll ask for a roll call, please.
Trustee Tammy Brown.
Aye.
Trustee Norwood.
Aye.
Trustee Stan Brown.
Aye.
Trustee Belcher.
Aye.
Trustee Steve.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Okay, I want to say thank you.
Great. On behalf of all Protestants everywhere, they would like to thank the village of Dalton for this vote, where they were recognized by one of the most flippy floppiest blue, black, brown Deacon Easter Suit wearing thunkhead ass man to ever exist in the village. Oh man, you know, because Protestants and all. Yo, this dude is a clown, man. He's a whole clown. All right, let me pull up the videos I got, because this is, oh Lord, then we're gonna discuss this whole aspect of, oh Lord, Pope's houses and stuff. Oh, because the Protestants, you know, are just waiting in the background. And they're waiting to see what Lady Luck Club has to say about the Pope house. All right. Shout out to the Protestants.
Also following some breaking news out of Dalton.
Yeah, Dane Placco has just learned about a plan to buy Pope Leo's childhood home, and he's joining us now from Dalton with the latest on this. Dane?
Yeah, put one in the chat if you can see it in here. We're going to go to the current Pope's house first, then we're going to work our way back. All right.
Yeah, Sylvia, we got a little scoop for you this lunch hour. We have learned that the village of Dalton will, in fact, be taking possession of the home you see behind me, the childhood home of Pope Leo.
Oh, wait, he was trying to say Protestant? Thank you, Saint. Because I'm like, is he talking about, what was he trying to say? I was really thinking Pentecostal, but yeah, okay, that makes it. Protestant. Protestant. Yeah, okay. The Protestant said, Deacon Easter Suit, leave our names out your mouth. That's what they said. Amen.
The 14th, after cutting a deal with the two property developers that bought the house and rehabbed it long before the Pope was elevated to his position. Well, as you can see, today's roofers are putting a new roof on this home. The project being performed by Windy City Construction Group, who reached out to the village, offered to put on a new roof for free. But we've learned that the village board, which is meeting tonight, will vote to purchase this now historic home. What we don't know is the exact purchase price, which will not be made public until closing sometime next week. We are told that the price will be well above the $199,000 that the developers were asking for before Robert Prevost became Pope, but far less than the $1 million they were hoping to get at auction. Now, you may recall that
that's the thing I don't like. That's the thing I don't like. I don't like the fact that the acquisition, even done with a lawful method, because we don't argue the laws that exist. We can, argue how it should be interpreted or how they should be enforced. But the law itself exists regarding eminent domain. That's just a matter of a fundamental fact. There is a law dealing with eminent domain. Now, the problem is with this is that, and there's some pros and some cons, but one of the cons is this right here, where the homeowner is undercut the profit they could have earned if it would have gone through the normal, even with a private auction. Because I told you all, 3 weeks ago, I did a ride along with me video live stream that I've been doing for at least 2 years. Said that you best believe that this home is going to go up in value. There are a lot of people that will be willing to spend more than even $1 million for this house. I highly doubt it even, it stays within the 6 figures for too long. And now you have bids that were supposedly well up into $5 million plus. So if it's going to be severely less significant of what he would have earned, the homeowner would have earned, from just allowing it to go through that private auction, and whoever buys the house at the highest price is the winner of the house. You undercut that profit. And you're doing it through this eminent domain thing, even though it's legal, it still questions the integrity of it, if you will. So it's not that they did something illegal. It's just the optics of it. And it definitely kind of hurts the homeowner and the developers, because they could have had a bigger profit. And I said it flat out. I think I was the first to say it. Maybe not, but if not the first, one of the first to say, well, watch how fast this house shoots up in value. People will be willing to spend millions of dollars for this house. And now there are reports that it was somewhere upward in $5 million plus. Probably more than that. That's the negative with drawback from the eminent domain process. So I know I would personally be, if I were the homeowner, I would not have sold the house. And I've said this a couple times, previously. If I were the homeowner, I would not have even sold the house, because you have to understand, when you have a diamond in the rock. One thing Deacon Easter Suit said that had a valid point, even though he's still the worst in a clown, is that, what are the odds of someone owning the home that, the current Pope grew up in? That's like a once in a lifetime sort of thing. So what are the odds? First Pope from the U.S. is from Dalton, of all places in the U.S. So what were the odds of that? But that proves even more, as a homeowner, he should have kept the damn house and then maybe cooperated with the village and rent it out for special occasions, something like that. That way, anytime they want to use it, they got to pay him to be able to use it. And he still maintains, rights to the house. And I certainly would have fought it in court. This is a rarity. It's not every day you become the homeowner of a home that a Pope grew up in. Put the belief of the Catholicism, put that to the side for a moment, and let's just speak about the business and financial aspect of this. That didn't happen every day. More of a reason why I would have never sold it. He could have turned that into a actual museum and even recreated the home to what it looked like during the time where the Pope grew up in, 1950s. So we're going to continue on with the video, and then I'm going to show you all some other videos so you can understand, my thoughts on this. And you guys feel free to, some of you are saying they shouldn't have purchased it. Where's the money coming from? Those types of things. That goes back to the transparency of the trustees. You're getting offers to help purchase the home, and people wanting to help fix it up and all these other things. At least post that information up so that people can see that there are offers coming in. So that kind of answers the question about where you're getting the money from. Because let's be honest, they could fix this home up, turn it into a museum, and not have to spend one dime on it if they're getting people willing to help. They could literally avoid having to spend any money on acquiring the house or fixing it up or turning it into a museum or historic landmark if they get enough donations. But post that up and make it transparent. That's not personal thoughts on that. All right, let's go.
Ownership of the property was heading to court. The village threatening to use eminent domain to take control of this property. The owner saying that would be illegal. So this agreement is something of a win-win for both sides, avoiding a long, expensive legal battle and securing the home for the village at a more reasonable cost. Now, there's been a steady stream of tourists and Catholic faithful coming to visit this house over the past several weeks, including even today, where the Pope lived with his family in the 1960s and 1970s. The village wants to turn this site into something of a historic district. And a short time ago, we talked to Dalton Mayor Jason House about what this means for the village.
We feel that we've done something that's in the taxpayers' best interest. Of course, we've always talked about honoring the Archdiocese as well. So we want to make sure we're doing justice for all included. It's going to be a benefit to the village of Dalton, and I think it's really a treasure.
Okay, let me go to the next one here. This is a video I found on Father Rick Nigel channel. Make sure you guys go check it out. This is a childhood home of St. John Paul II from Wadowice, Poland. I'm not gonna butcher it, and trust me when I say I'm not proud to say I've never heard of that, because I haven't. But from one of the former popes' home in Poland. So I just want you all to check this out so you can kind of see what I was referring to when I say turn it into an actual museum and recreate some of the, furniture, the items and things that kind of, it might not be the originals, but at least it could be symbolic to what you would have seen if you would have gone to the home in 1950s. So let's check this out. Put a 1 in the chat if you can see in here.
Hello, everyone. Father Rick Nagel here. I'm now in the childhood home in the flat where St. John Paul II grew up in Wadowice, Poland. Such a beautiful gift to be here as part of my sabbatical and just retrace the steps of St. John Paul II. This is where he was born and grew up as a child here next to the church in the town square, right next door. And so I want to show you the flat and just give you a little bit of a tour through here. This would have been living room, and
see, you guys see that
together for just to relax and to
look at it,
share time together as family. The sewing machine was actually used by both his mother and father.
Look at it.
His mother died when he was a young boy. His father began to learn to sew, and he made his old army uniforms into clothing for the children. And so you can see here.
Look at it. That's awesome.
Well, he was a great father and just taught his kids the gift of faith.
This is what I mean.
After their mother died. As we go into the next room in the flat, this was their bedroom, and this is actually the bed that John Paul II was born in. And this was after his mother's death, this was the bed that he slept in next to his father. And so beautiful, very beautiful. It has also his first communion certificate here and an image of our Blessed Mother, Mary.
So this is kind of what I was alluding to as far as recreating some of the artifacts and some of the furniture and things of that nature, whatever they can't get as far as the original items, to at least recreate it. And that way you're getting kind of a taste of true history when you go into the home. My understanding that the current Pope's childhood home is still empty. So you're just walking through and looking at walls and flooring. I mean, I understand that they're definitely going to try to turn it into a museum of some sort, but this is kind of the concept that I was speaking of. If you're going to turn it into a historic landmark in a museum, give it that feel of what we would have seen during the time where the Pope grew up. So you're walking into a bit of history here, and it gives kind of greater meaning to, the aspect of it becoming a museum. And of course, it'll be well worth it for tourists that come in and want to spend money to fly in to see the Pope's house. So this is kind of what needs to happen, hopefully, with the current Pope's home in Dalton.
Jesus, and of course, Sacred Heart of Mary and the Immaculate Heart, the Sacred Heart of Jesus, Immaculate Heart of Mary. And so really beautiful relics and
look at that. Yeah, the relics and
time here in simple life
look at that.
in Wadowice.
Nice.
Over here is a desk that he would have sat to do his homework and studies at, as well as to write. He loved to write about plays and create his own plays. And so that would have been begun here. And then this is a pray to or kneeler where he often saw his father praying for the family and learned the power of prayer from his father. We go into the next room in the flat, and it was the kitchen. And this was really cool because here, this would have been the entrance that they had to the flat. And here is a holy water font that they used
Oh,
to
wow.
bless themselves. And they
Wow.
would leave and come back into the flat.
Okay, I want to go to the next video so you all can see.
Supply.
This is
trying to make the
Pope Francis' summer home that they opened up to the public. So let's just check this out. Like I said, I don't want to have a very, very long live, but I do want to get to some discussion about this. But I just kind of want to give you guys an idea of just historically how Pope's homes, summer homes are, have instantly become tourist attractions.
Roman Catholic Church more transparent and accessible to the people. It's part of the reason why today is the first full day tourists are being allowed to visit the most private rooms of the Pope's summer residence just outside Rome.
Seth Doan got to see those rooms inside Castel Gandolfo before it was open to the public.
Popes have looked out at this view for centuries, but this is the first time the rest of us could look back in. Francis, the People's Pope, declared his private apartment here should be public, so we could all see where popes would potter about or pray.
This is the office of the so-called personal valet, a sort of butler to the Pope. This is the office for the Pope's secretary. And then in this grand room,
look at this,
the Pope's office and his desk.
Castel Gandolfo.
Thank you, Gemini, for letting me know that Peter Popoff, pastor that mails you oil for money and keeps sending you letters asking for money. Money. Never stops writing you. Yeah, them televangelists is something else. Thank you for giving me the heads up on that one. Yeah, it does take money. That's why I said they have to be transparent about where the money is coming from, and if they're getting donors and sponsors and stuff like that, post it up. Post that on the Village of Dalton website so people can understand. Well, it's not really draining the village to do any of that. And this is part of what those sponsors could do to help recreate the home and turn it into a museum. So, and you guys can see if it's done right, it is absolutely beautiful. And it's just a gorgeous concept. You get a taste of history here. So I'm not Catholic, but I mean, it's, still doesn't stop me from being able to see the beauty of these homes and to just be able to still learn about the history, of these popes.
Perched above Lake Albano, has a bigger footprint than Vatican City
yeah.
itself and is used as a summer escape. But Francis never spent the night here. In 2014, he opened some rooms to the public, but his private apartment had remained off limits, explained Sandro Barbagallo.
You're in charge of running this place. Were you surprised when the Pope said, open up these rooms?
Yes, very surprised, he admitted. I knew the public part of this palace well, but I promise you, even I never entered the private apartments. It was always under lock and key, and the keys were kept in Rome.
Come take a look at this, the most private of rooms here, the Pope's bedroom and the Pope's bed.
See, they got the rope around it and everything.
Some of the rooms, in particular, the Pope's bedroom, seems quite modest, quite small.
Yes, it's very small, Barbagallo said, and very modest. We are, after all, talking about a priest.
Yeah.
During World War II, a previous pope opened Castel Gandolfo as a sort of shelter for those displaced by the fighting. This modern-day pontiff has tried to bring the church closer to the people.
Oh,
now,
look at the
letting
baby.
him right into his bedroom. For CBS This Morning Saturday, Seth Doan.
And I have one more video just to give you all a taste of Pope Francis' home from
Today is the day that the Pope passed.
From Buenos Aires in Argentina. Now they didn't do an indoor tour view or anything, but this guy uploaded a video where he at least showed the outside of the house that Pope Francis grew up in Argentina.
Passed away, and here I am in Flores, Buenos Aires.
This is when he passed away.
Pope once lived.
Pope Francis was actually born in a house a few blocks away from here. There's a plaque on the wall stating that he spent most of his childhood in this very house in the Flores neighborhood of Buenos Aires, Cava. On the very evening of his death, many people came to light candles and leave him flowers along with cards mourning his death and celebrating his life.
It's absolutely stunning. All right, so I just wanted to show you guys that so you guys can see the historical context on it. So I'll give you all my thoughts and then I'll read some of you guys' comments so we can, have some dialogue on this. So first things first, the idea of the eminent domain, it's not to me, not one I'm a fan of. only because of what actually happened, meaning the undercutting of the profit from the homeowner and from the investors. So a house that could have been purchased for like $5 million plus is, he gave them, the village negotiated a fraction of that, which is kind of the biggest con on that. I wish they would have allowed that to just go through the private auction and maybe partner up with the new homeowner to try to help preserve it and turn it into, a museum. That's just my opinion on it. But overall, I've always said that the economic advantage of having tourists come into Dalton, bringing in revenue, should be taken advantage of. This is a flow of income that is going to be guaranteed, because as you all can see, I literally showed what the last 2-3 previous popes, and their homes, the summer homes, became a tourist attraction. Because one thing we can't do is dictate tourists coming into Dalton wanting to see the childhood home of the Pope. That's never going to stop. I think that's going to go on forever and ever with every new Pope that comes along, because you have millions and millions of people around the world that are definitely interested in what is going on with the Pope, their background history, where they grew up, where they went to school, all those things. And they will spend money to travel to the hometown, the childhood homes and the schools of any Pope. Doesn't matter who it is. So the village of Dalton should not be trying to bite the hand that feed them when it comes to that revenue source. I even said that the homes on that street, would be beneficial to convert that into like little shops, maybe like a rest place between tours, some little restaurants, little dives, a bakery, a sweet shop, a coffee shop, a bookstore, something. Those homes can be converted into businesses. That way you have the residents that are still able to kind of exist and live in peace, and they're not kind of caught up in all that traffic and back and forth with people coming to view the Pope's home. And it would be, of all the popes on earth, we get the first one from the US, but yet you got a lot of tourists that want to come in. They're bringing in revenue with them, and yet the village of Dalton don't want people to come into the house. It's almost impossible not to expect tourists. So there's an opportunity, economically speaking, that should definitely be taken advantage of. Start a tour company. You live there, especially you have a YouTube channel, put up videos about, some of the popular spots, where the Pope grew up, where he went to school, all those things. And go out and help do tours, open up a little business or something like that. Now, there is a negative side to all of this. And that being the residents that live there having to now get adjusted to all this traffic. That's my thing. They're going to have to get adjusted to all of the traffic that they are not used to having now, because once in a lifetime where a Pope comes from the US, from Dalton. But that would be the sentiment no matter where the Pope comes from. I don't think the residents in any place where the popes grew up, if they had immediate neighbors, would ever get used to the idea of a lot of traffic coming through. But over time, it's something they become accustomed to. So I don't think anyone should shun the idea of the economic opportunities with tourists coming in to see the childhood home of the Pope from all over the world. And they're bringing in a tremendous flow of revenue. And at the end of the day, doesn't Dalton want to get out of the deficit? Don't you want to pay the water bill? Pay on the bonds? Fix the streets? Now, where the money comes from, as far as how they how much the village of Dalton puts into buying the house, that should be transparent. That's just a matter, to me, in my opinion, that's a matter of transparency. But it should not be a matter to where that is the deterrent to keep people from really taking advantage of this economic opportunity here. And for the residents that live on that street, yes, it's going to be an adjustment. And I would implore them to look at the history of other popes and the neighborhoods that they grew up in. 3 of them I just showed. After a while, people just kind of live their life and they go on and they accept the fact that the Pope used to live here, and people just going to come here in mass. When the Pope passed away, the most recent Pope passed away, Buenos Aires was flooded, right? But they expected that type of crowd, that type of traffic, because they knew people would come out, parishioners, in general, just people who are, just curious to know about the Pope that may or may not even be Catholic. They're going to still travel, spend that money, especially when the Pope passes away. Exactly what happened. So you can't stop people from coming to see the house. And it would be silly to do that because that's cutting off some revenue. However, be transparent about where the money is coming from. That way the residents feel that it truly is beneficial when the money you're spending to buy the Pope's house, many of the residents' sentiment is that could go towards anything else. But there's a difference between, okay, we're just paying a bill versus we're investing in an opportunity that is once in a lifetime where we can now have a continuous stream of revenue. And the investment pays for itself in a very short period of time. So if they do spend $1 million for the house, it will not be difficult to generate $1 million in revenue to recover from the money they spent on the house. I would implore the residents that live on that street to maybe go to the mayor, go to Jason House and say, listen, we live on this street. I mean, is there any contingencies for us so that we're not lost in a melee and we're not forgotten about, because we still have to live on this street. So they need to put a plan in place on how they can make sure that the residents that live on that street are still comfortable and able to live and exist in peace. So that's kind of my take on it. I would not advocate for them to not at least allow the revenue stream to come through. And I would certainly, if I were, the voters there in Dalton, I would definitely demand, listen, just tell us where you're getting the money from. Just post up all the sponsors and the donors, so that way we can feel a lot more at ease with how the money is being spent to pay for the upkeep and the maintenance. And, if you're going to turn it into a museum, I mean, people are not going to want to come and just look at an empty house. They really want to see what it was like for the Pope to live in this home. And that comes with, like you've seen historically, bring in furniture, bring in, artifacts, whatever you have to recreate to help induce that feeling of they walking into a part of history. So it's all about how that's handled and being transparent along the way. And I think a lot more residents would be a lot more comfortable if there was a plan for the residents that still live on that street, how they're going to handle the sudden stream of foot traffic, not just from people in Illinois or even in the US, internationally. And then, of course, the safety and security measures, because now you got all kinds of people coming in. You're going to have to be a lot more alert. Everybody coming there is not going to have the best intentions at play here. You're going to have some bad actors try to come out there and do some crazy stuff. So how do you address the safety and the security measures for the rest of the residents to feel safe? Those are the things that need to be outlined in some sort of plan between the mayor, the trustees, and the residents. And I would implore you all to challenge them to go talk to them and come up with something concrete and reasonable and logical to quell the fears of this and address some of the concerns that they have that are legitimate concerns. I can't tell you how I would feel if in my neighborhood, it's discovered that the house next to me ends up being the childhood home of a pope, I probably would be like, hell no, I'm moving. That would be me personally. You don't know who's gonna be around, right? I'd be like, I gotta get out of here. Y'all give me enough money to sell. I'll sell this house. Y'all can buy it if it means having peace of mind. I will pay for peace. So, especially if you got kids and a family and all of that, it's expected you're gonna have some bad actors. So get me the hell up out of here. Buy my house, make it worth my while, and then I can do whatever y'all want to do with it. If it means me buying a brand new home where me and my family can go and live somewhere else in peace and be able to exist. I know it kind of sucks to say that. Some people are like, I don't want to give up my house. Might have to bend a little if you want peace. If not, you're going to have to get used to the traffic, because it's not going to stop the tourists from coming. Does that make sense? That's kind of my 2 cents on that. All right, let's get to some comments. Let's see. I'm gonna go up. I want to make sure I don't miss anything. Okay. Laura said the Catholic Church needs a roof. Yeah. I thought that roof program thing, it better not have involved Squidward. I'm gonna be mad. Better not have let Squidward fix that damn roof. Lord knows what the hell happened with that. I left out, if the Catholic Church indeed wanted to salvage his home, they would have. It takes money to recreate the look of the home to the original way. Yeah, it does. That's why I said they need to be transparent on where the funds are going to come from to turn this into a historic landmark, because, people are still going to come to the house, even if they get a chance to just look at the exterior. But if you really want to take advantage of the actual revenue aspect of it, you're going to renovate the inside of it and recreate it, because that's what people will be more willing to spend money to go see. They want to see a museum. They want to see, take me back in time. I want to see the bed or something similar to that, where you slept. Like you got some diehard people that are just going to want to see all of that. So let's see. Hey, let me be honest. The neighborhood was one of the most racist places for years. Not saying he was or is racist. I just know about the races it was. Yeah, I mean, yeah, naturally. A lot of neighborhoods were, kind of racist towards Black and brown people, but that's what the beauty of it now is. You're seeing this home in a predominantly Black neighborhood, and hopefully, it will be upgraded to the point where people can come together, whether you're Catholic or not, regardless of race or your gender or anything, and still just be able to witness a bit of history, and it truly becomes a beautiful landmark. Yes, professional beggars, and they get the donations always. Sean, are you still here? Oh, okay. Yeah, I know what you mean. Auntie, interesting. Is it primarily white? No, it's not. I think it's majority Black, right? You have to learn and practice the art of knowing how to handle property and make it work for the good overall. Yeah, absolutely. Skeeter said Dalton needs to rise. Yeah, it's a lot of things that they need to really discuss. There's no reason to shy away from the topic, you guys. You're the voters there, so make your demands. If Jason wants to keep saying hold me accountable, do that. And if he's true and genuine with it, which I'm not saying he's not, they're definitely going to continue to be transparent and be willing to be held accountable. And that starts with posting up how you're gonna, where the funds coming from to buy this house. That's the first thing people want to see. They want to know the funds are truly coming from sponsors and donors and all these other sources to help buy the house. Because otherwise, yeah, it's natural people will be annoyed at, oh, you can spend $2 million on this house before you fix up our street, but it is an investment. More of a reason why the owner should not sell it. But that's just me. At the time he grew up, it was horrible. I knew firsthand it was tough and memorable. Yes, Catholic was one of many in a Chicago neighborhood after the white flight was closed down. Enrique said when the Pope passes away, that house would bring more tourists. Exactly. The same thing that just happened with the video in Argentina of the most recent Pope that passed away. I mean, Buenos Aires turned into a huge tourist spot when the Pope passed away. And it was like that for what, a week or two? Just crowds of people coming in. So that comes with, bringing in revenue. People got to sleep. They got to check in the hotels. They got to eat. So I would definitely take advantage of that if I were you all. Gemini said, and who could forget Reverend Ike from New York? He always says you can't lose with the stuff I use. Sorry, Auntie, getting tired. My typing's starting to suck. It's all right. It's been a long day. Thank you for the clarification. You are fine. Yeah. Y'all know y'all can have free dialogue here. Some of their homes will be purchased as well. Yeah, it makes sense, right? Yeah, they might as well turn that whole street into like a little mini boardwalk strip type thing, where you just have the Pope's house and all the other houses around it are either like restaurants. I mean, when I say a bakery shop would be the bomb idea and the best idea ever. That and a coffee house. And you got it right there on that street. That way tourists have everything they could possibly want to experience right there on that street. Why not? It's materialistic. It's just a house. That's how I see it. I get it. A lot of people are going to be like, no, I've lived here for 25 years. I understand. But for the good of community, it's going to bring in a huge revenue source. So if you know that you're not going to be happy with all that traffic, you can't stop it. You can't stop the tourists from coming. And that would be crazy to do. But either the village has to come up with a way to keep the other homeowners happy and safe, or I would sell the house. I'm selling it. We can go get a brand new bigger house. Take advantage of it. Sell the house. And then, or if you want to keep it and rent it out or turn it into something, you go buy a new home, it'll be well worth that investment as well. Maybe you can go to some of these sponsors and say, hey, my house is right next to the Pope's house. I want to turn it into a coffee shop. So now you got people that are willing to send financial resources to help you convert your home into a coffee shop because they know you're going to make that money back. And then you can use that money, buy a brand new house. Even a car. Pay some bills. Pay your water bill. See, that's what I'm saying. The neighbors will be impacted. Yeah, they are. They're going to be impacted one way or the other. I think it's just a matter of how it's handled. But yeah, they will be impacted. I agree. If it's done correctly, it can bring money and build up employment and revenue. Absolutely. There will be no control over the visitors. Make it useful for the village. Yeah, pretty much. And Dalton can go from negative to positive. Yeah, I mean, quick. It would not take long for them to make that money back, especially if people were willing to buy the house for $5-6 million. So they're going to want to be a part of it either way. I say, let those same investors that were bidding $5 million, $6 million plus on the Pope's home, reach out to them and partner up with them. So you can, if you live there, turn your home into a mini bed and breakfast, Airbnb. Like one of those little rest stops. People can go use the bathroom while they wait for their tours, get something to drink, maybe grab a bite to eat. So many ideas. Tourist companies. So many ideas. The proximity of each home next to one another is close, very close. Not good at distance, but I would. It was too close for comfort. Yeah, I mean, a couple of houses, 2 or 3 houses next to it, probably could be converted into parking lot space. But it's all about the way they go about handling all of this is going to be the key here. I'm not advocating for people to just be booted out, but I would definitely advocate for some sort of resolution to come about where, the homeowner could definitely benefit tremendously, and be able to maintain their rights as owners, and then convert it to something that would be beneficial. And then, like I said, hey, go buy a brand new house. You have more money. There you go. Let's see. Yeah, they don't have a lot of yard space. I noticed that too. It kind of sucks when you can look out your window and almost see into the neighbor's kitchen. You can see what they cooking on the stove because y'all that close. Yeah, that sucks. You ain't got no yard space. Let's see. Neighbor homes will get offers as well. They can come up too. Absolutely. A roof company just put on a roof for free. Donations, volunteers, employment. Yeah. Hopefully it was free. I better not see it on a damn budget. Or what is it? Warrantless. Yeah, don't let that vendor for that roof thing come up on the warrantless, because that's gonna be a whole thing. Auntie said, yes, but it would be just investors buying and then renting them out. The schools are there around the area are just not good. There are no closed parks, recreation, shopping nearby at all. But that could be the benefit of the homes around the Pope's house. They can have, a couple shops, have those homes on that street converted to shops, converted to a couple restaurants, little eateries. I'm telling you all, a bakery would be awesome. A sweet shop, a hotel, a bed and breakfast. So many ideas. Auntie, exactly. Streets are already torn up. So now tour buses. Yeah. The next door neighbor said, I honestly think they would fix up the street on that house first, and maybe the driveways and stuff like that. What they really need to do is widen the street. If they're not going to take down a couple of the houses and convert them into parking lots, they would definitely need to think about widening the street. But yeah, I mean, I would hope that they would fix the street on the street of where the Pope's house is first, and maybe the street surrounding it. Fix those up first. That way, people not busting out their tires. Potholes suck. The next door neighbor says she has met a lot of interesting people since the news. I bet. At the church, fix the infrastructure first and think about the investment of a home. Yeah, I mean, fixing the streets up around that is going to be, should be the first thing. And then, of course, upgrading the house and all those good things. And then you decide what, how can you help the neighbors? Jim and I said, Aunt Zetique, they put a new roof on the house, not the church. Somebody after a while will pay for his own. Yeah. They fixed the roof up on the home. I don't know about the church that he attended mass and went to school at. I'm not sure who paid for the renovations for that. Who owns the church? That neighbor has not seen anything yet, but it will not be easy to live within that fishbowl of a block and not feel some kind of way. Exactly. I mean, no one likes the idea that it's going to take 20 minutes to get from the stop sign to the front door of their house. But those are the things that need to be strategized and thought out. Because like I said, the tourists are going to come. They're already coming. So that's not going to stop. So, really at this point, the only thing you can do is just kind of get used to it and get adjusted to it and make the most of it. Put the ball in your court if you're a homeowner there, and let this work on your behalf and your benefit. Not everyone will visit with good intentions. Exactly. You're going to have some bad actors. People are going to want to buy the neighboring homes. Yep. Now we're talking about renovating the interior. Where is that coming from? I mean, that's the thing. If they got the sponsors that are willing to give them the money, they should use that to renovate the interior. That's what they said in the meeting. They got people that are willing to offer money to help renovate it, the upkeep, the maintenance, all those things. And then, of course, money you come and bring it in from the tourists. They got to stay in hotels. They got to eat there. They're going to be bringing in some real money here. But they definitely should take advantage of any sponsor that's saying, hey, I'll help you guys turn this into a historic landmark. I'll donate $50,000, $100,000, whatever. They should take all the help they can get with it. But they also need to let you all know what that is and who it's coming from and how much it is. A bed and breakfast would be nice and cozy. Absolutely. Carolyn said that's true. Keep the money on the street. The zone residential. The Holy Moly Donut and Coffee Shop. Hey, who needs a quickie mark? That's That's a good one. Holy moly donut and coffee shop. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Create a coffee shop. Open up a coffee shop. Look, I can open up a whole can of worms here, but there are too many outside investors that are buying homes in the area. Overall, it's not good at all. Bringing unsavory folks there. I mean, that's the thing. You got to think about the safety and security and how you're going to put measures in place to safeguard the residents. We all know that people are going to come there for nefarious reasons. That's to be expected everywhere. But like, was it Trustee Tammy Brown? She said it best. I mean, if done the right way, this can definitely bring in a lot of revenue. And like I said, you can't stop the tourists from coming. You shut down Dalton and say, we're not welcoming any tourists here. I mean, the optics of that will be worse, right? Because, I mean, some people are just, they die hard for the Pope. They're like, oh no, we want to see our Pope's house. Like, you can't stop the tourists coming in. They're already coming. And it's just going to amp up from there. The more renovations and the more they do to add on to the optics, the appeal, increase the stores, the restaurants, the streets, all those things is going to bring in even more traffic. So, yeah, it would have been converted for sure. Auntie, I understand your hesitancy. Yeah, I mean, I think, the residents there is definitely a huge thing they need to tackle. Holy moly, pastry and hot Java shop. Oh man, or maybe a bistro. Exactly. I'm thinking of more of a bakery sweet shop with coffee. I mean, look how they are in the Vatican. They love their desserts. You got a lot of dessert shops around the Vatican, in the Vatican City. So take a page from whatever the hot spots are in the Vatican City. Bring that over to Dalton. That way people have that familiarity, with what they would experience if they were to go to the Vatican City. Right? And then you got a lot of people that are going to come in internationally speaking. So you need to have things set up to where the average person could really enjoy, touring the home and the community. A lot of money to be made in it. Just saying. They would have to bottom out. Now, where is that money coming from? Okay, I will stop being a Debbie Downer. It's all right, I tell you. I mean, you're bringing up legitimate concerns here. And it's the same thing that, the residents and stuff have said as well. It's a legitimate concern. Things that need to be addressed. Absolutely. Feel free to email Lady Luck Club. Oh, yeah, absolutely. The expenses and not the revenue is bringing. I think it's, from also the perspective of the safety and security measures for the residents. You get some unsavory characters in. Where are the safeguards in place to ensure that you don't have people coming in and just breaking other people's houses and doing all kinds of nefarious stuff here? So how's that security measure going to go? Right? I think that's the biggest hurdle with the residents and the disruption to their quality of life. But, I personally, I would turn, if I had, if I were a homeowner, I would convert the home into something beneficial and take that money and go buy a new home. And then you have that income coming in by however long. And even if the popes pass away, the homes that they grew up in, their childhood communities and stuff, they still benefit and profit from that. People still go and see the homes of the previous popes. The summer house I showed you all in the clip, people still go out and tour that. So it doesn't stop, even if the Pope passes away. You get a new Pope. I just showed the last three good popes. They still get tourists that come out to see the childhood homes of the Pope. So it's not going to stop. It's going to go on pretty much forever until, unless the house comes down for some reason, God forbid. But you're still going to have that stream of traffic, even if the Pope, passes away, just like the last one. People still go and pay homage to the Pope by, visiting their home and childhood church and schools and all those other things. So traffic is going to come forever. that could last a lifetime. Oh yeah, feel free to email me at ladyluckclubllc@yahoo.com. And you can always chat with me candidly. Absolutely. And everybody got the right to feel how they want to feel, right? Everybody got their opinion on that. Enrique, there are some logical things happening that are unsavory. Dalton is indeed corrupt now. That's why I'm reacting like this. I know that there are pros and cons to any investment. Absolutely. It would be great if someone would come along and do the entire remodeling work, etc. But trust me, they would be looking for a big kickback. This is how Illinois works all the time. Yeah, and that's the thing. You got to definitely, take into consideration. People are trying to take advantage of the opportunities to the point where, it's almost schemish in nature, right? So you don't want that to happen either. But I think that's where a good game plan and having things outlined comes into play. And then you guys get to vote on it, have you say so, and actually see, the mayor and the trustees implement the concerns in a more well thought out plan here. It's taking everybody by surprise. Who knew that the current pope would come from Dalton or from the United States? Who knew? But they kind of having a plan on the fly too. You got to think about that. I don't think it was pre-planned that the next pope would be from Dalton. So it's a huge adjustment for the entire village. And of course, it's something that, people have to kind of get used to on the fly. Like I said, you can't stop the tourists from coming. But there are a lot of things that need to be put in place that the voters and the residents need to have an understanding of, so that they can see this. The majority can see this as beneficial. And it's just my opinion on it. I mean, you guys are always welcome to disagree if you like. That's why Dalton police are securing the house and neighborhood. Yeah, it's a cute home. Holy moly. I know, right? Holy moly coffee and donut shop. Yeah, that's cool. Peruvian restaurant with the dishes the Pope enjoyed in his time in Peru. Exactly. Walk down the street looking and buying. Thanks everyone for tuning in. I thank you all so much. We're hitting 2 hours and 30 minutes. I'm gonna get through a few more comments. His bedroom in the church he stayed in, and Leo Peru is a shrine now. I'm sure it is. A lot of the sites are tourist attractions and preserved historic landmarks. Check out Lady Luck's second channel, raw clips of Tommy G. Absolutely. Tommy G, raw and real. Some great content out of that. So that directly puts the political influence in the air of, once again, will it never left? Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something they have to iron out, right? But yeah, this is great dialogue. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I appreciate all of you for coming in and chatting, and we're gonna have some fun over the weekend. It's 4th of July. Thankfully, I get off early tomorrow, so I have some videos and content I need to be putting out like crazy. Lots of updates I want to provide, and we're definitely still reporting on Super Stupid till she goes to prison. But you guys, please make sure you check out my second channel as well, Tommy G Raw and Real. If I can get a mod to drop my second channel in there, that would be awesome. If there are any other content creators here that have YouTube channels, please make sure you drop your link. Happy anniversary, Laura. 31st wedding anniversary. Happy anniversary. You should be spending time with your husband. What you doing, girl? Should be getting ready to get down with the get down and slide down a pole or something with some baby oil. Yeah, listen here. Go enjoy your husband on your wedding anniversary. That's a blessing. 31 years. That is a blessing. That's almost my whole lifetime. Oh, man. That is awesome. Congratulations to you. Y'all make sure you show your love to Laura. Congratulate her on her 31st wedding anniversary. That is amazing. Amazing, amazing. And if you guys have any other questions or information you want to share, please feel free to email me at ladyluckclubllc@yahoo.com. Make sure you hit the like button. and make sure you get yourself a membership. Thank you to Saint and Laura for gifting those 2 memberships out. We are going to finish up Random News Video in the members only live. And yes, if he would like to come up in the Lady Luck Club and have a conversation with me, I would be more than happy to host him. I think that would be, a great way to kind of bridge some of the gap and to be able to, speak with just other content creators that, just trying to give a heads up on some of the things I think people need to take notice to. And, I enjoyed this video. So that's why we're watching it in the members only. Y'all make sure you get your membership. All right. So probably not the night because it's 11. I still got to get up in the morning and work. But tomorrow we will be doing a members only live as well as a regular live because we're going into the 4th and I want to catch up on my content. Check out my second channel. Make sure you're tuning in and looking out for those clips on the Scientology, the video that Tommy G is going to be dropping regarding the Televangelist. That's going to be something else. All right. So thank you all so much for the support. I appreciate all of you. And at this point, we're going to come to an end. I want you guys to have a good night. And I will see you all tomorrow for sure. Shout out to you, Saint. Mine was on the first 25 years. All right. Congratulations to all of you. It's a blessing. I believe in the sanctity of marriage. And I'm divorced, but it doesn't mean I stop believing in marriage. It's a blessing. It's a blessing to get to that point. All right. Y'all have a good night. And I will see you all in the next one. And until that, Lady Luck Club out. Deuces.